Yo,
Hey, welcome to the new meta, episode 138.
138. Are you kidding me?
138.
That's got to be like a record for podcasts ever.
The intro was a record. That was the
Like the
longest
time.
intro.
True,
We had the wrong
true.
screen on, but it's okay. We were doing stuff
Yeah.
in the background anyways.
Yeah.
The pre-podcast show is extra long and juicy for you
It
Patreon
is.
guys out
We've gotten
there.
a personal.
We got into
PChild
the.
cried a little bit.
I did, man.
It was
Shed
intense.
some tears. Fluff harassed me a little bit.
I did.
He job shamed me. And this is all I'm gonna say.
Did. I mean, I literally job shame you all the time, but yes, I definitely did that.
But yeah, it's been
Listen,
it's been a fun week.
listen.
Okay,
I've got news for you.
Okay.
I got news for everybody in chat. You know how we're like, oh, when's the season start date going to be? Listen,
Huh?
I have booked a vacation the weekend
Okay.
of March 26th.
Okay.
Therefore,
Season will launch
the season will launch
March 26th.
March 26th.
Boom. Done.
You're welcome. Everyone
see
wanted a date. And I was like, let's just book a vacation. Let's give everybody a date so they can plan. You're welcome.
March 26th. There you go. Ed is going to be the not this coming Friday, but 2 Fridays from that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're listening live.
So, looking
there's
for the
season
team.
start date. I will need a new team because Fluff won't be on it. He'll be. Where are you going on vacation?
We're going to go board, man. Hit that fresh powder.
Going to board, huh?
Yeah. Lindsay's been wanting it. Like, she always used to like ski and
Colorado?
stuff. Actually, Wyoming.
Wyoming. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, gonna go do that, and I just follow a bunch, so that'll be great. Hopefully, I don't come back with anything broken. But
I saw her water ski. I know that she can ski. Really
yeah,
well.
she's great.
So
at
she's
stuff at the
Cool.
things. Luckily, she's not a good boarder because she's only done it once, and I've only done it twice. So hopefully, we stay at the same skill level. But I have a good feeling that she will surpass me very, very quickly this trip.
She's gonna be going off the ramps, doing like double backflips and shit.
Yeah, totally.
Like, you'll see Fluff try. You're like, I got to. Like,
I'm gonna break the board in half and rack myself. Yeah,
I'm
like, welcome to the new add-on.
Full body cast and
Yeah.
shit. So,
But yeah, you're welcome, chat. I gave you a seasonal start date. But yeah, speaking of start
if
of the
it
podcast,
does hit that date, no, seriously, if it does actually land on that weekend, would you think that there's a little bit of like, okay, let's fuck with this guy?
yeah, I mean, no, but at the same time, there's always going to be that tinfoil hat part of me that's like, these motherfuckers.
Yeah, they did it.
Yeah,
They totally did it.
But yeah, so last week, we asked the following: which would you prefer? All right, so this is a heated debate. There was, we almost got to a fight. Me and Pete.
What do I win when I get this? Like, I know I won. Like, I don't even have to look at the results. I already know.
Listen, if you
What do I
won,
get?
we got allowed 2 heads in chat, is all I'm saying.
Oh,
So let me
okay.
pop up chat real quick and pop this in there. But so last week we had a very heated argument in the pre-podcast, which you guys can listen to if you support us on Patreon. And yeah, it led to this age-old debate of what would be more valuable in Diablo 3 if they added another filter. Obviously, both of these would be amazing, and both of these in conjunction, right? Like if we had both of these options, fantastic. That's more goodness. But
I vote for both too, but you only get one.
Yeah, you only get to pick one. That's the thing. It's like the bacon or sausage. Yeah, bacon's good, sausage is good, but obviously sausage is better. So
But obviously bacon is better.
Yeah.
It's always one. It's batting 1,000. Just like, I don't even know why you argue with me.
I think
You know
honestly,
you're gonna lose.
people
You know
only
you're gonna lose.
say bacon because it's like maybe they feel emasculated for voting sausage. Like it's like, oh, men must like bacon. So like,
I don't listen.
Yeah.
You can spin it however you want.
Listen.
Bacon's just the better.
that's how it
The
works.
better meat, man.
But yeah, so which one did you prefer? A Paragon filter, which is PChild's desire, and then Hours Played filter, which is your boy Fluff's desire. Rehash arguments super quick is, for me, it's there's no learning opportunity with the Paragon filter. You could play it for 5,000 hours and have 1,000 Paragon, and you'd be like, oh, I beat everybody with 1,000 Paragon, but you're still bad at the game, which is not good for the player, I think. And quickly argue your thing.
Yeah, mine's the Paragon filter. It gives you your overall general power level, and the hours played is like a how good did you do. But what if you're playing with buddies? What if you're not trying to be super efficient? You're just enjoying the game and you're comparing your power level. So I think that's your overall strength of your
So
character.
if you're casually voting Paragon filters, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
So,
or you're just really good at the game.
I'm gonna obviously vote hours played.
Wait, you can't skew it?
What? I always vote on these.
Okay, hold on. I gotta
go
vote real quick.
Go ahead and fire up your VPN. We know if I lose, that's exactly what happened here.
Okay.
What is this?
What?
We always have a split poll.
And now slide.
God damn, we have a lot of two heads to watch.
We crushed you. Team PChild. Good job.
Wow.
Love it. I love it.
I wonder how many people knew they were voting Team PChild. And they didn't change their vote now that they know.
What did we bet on this again?
We didn't. We did not.
Yeah, we did. I think something. What is it?
Mm-hmm.
I got something. We're gonna think of something.
The bet is, wow, I need to get rid of a lot of low IQ people in chat. I need to do more bans, basically. That's what it sounds like.
All right.
And then next week, guys, we're going to try something new. And I apologize for the people that, really hate social media, but we're going to start hosting the polls on the Twitter.
On the Twitter,
guys. So to vote.
This is good stuff, man. Honestly.
To vote in the next poll, you will have to, you should drop a follow. You don't have to follow. We'll give a link to the poll on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And you can vote that way. But if you want to drop a follow while you're there.
Yeah, follow us up on the Twitters. If you don't have social media accounts, I totally get it. I resisted for a long time as well. But it's at least you can vote on the poll, and it gives you a way to keep up with what we're doing, the new meta's doing.
Yeah.
And it's good stuff. So do it. You can even help spread the love by tweeting it, retweeting it. And help grow the new meta. So
exactly. Cool. So this week's poll will be something we're going to talk about tonight. But to give you guys a little spoiler, this week's new meta podcast question: if one item can give you 140 dexterity and you can only get 200 through per level stat allocation at 40 max level, should D4 even have stat allocation? And this will make more sense in a minute when we talk about it. But that's the poll. Yes?
That's the poll.
I want that D2/Wolfson style of stat allocation, or nah, POE. What are the options?
Yeah.
So.
I wonder which way Fluff's going to go.
Hey. I'm just saying. Yeah. And let's just jump right into that, right out of the gate.
Okay.
So someone, a user on Reddit, Fuse, had noticed through one of the photos, and we pull up this photo, on this bow, like just scraped out of like the stuff we've seen from the Diablo 4 posts, right? This bow alone has 140 dex, 76 all stats, and 132 willpower. And we know the max level is 40, and at max level you can get 200 through your own stat allocation, like you would think of in Diablo 2, where every level you get like bing, and it's like 5, and you go ping, 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 ping.
Right.
So, if this is true, then that kind of renders the whole stat system a little silly, even being able to allocate stats.
Unless the weapons are the only place that stats can come from, which I highly doubt. I'm sure if we pulled up a picture of bracers or chest piece, that there's stats on those as well.
Right.
But if weapon was the only one, then it's still almost over 50%.
Right. So yeah, that's kind of the base question we're asking here. If you can get 140 plus, like 200 more than your entire leveling experience, is it even worth it? Like, should you even have stat allocation at all? And then furthermore, should you even have stat allocation at all? It in Diablo 2 was the thing, and it kind of works in that game. And then, Wolson, it was a thing, and it again, it kind of works, but is it fun? Is it cool? Like, as a brand new player, you go into, like, what you're going to experience when you go back into Diablo 2 Resurrected, and you're in a level, and you're like, oh, what points, like, do I even want to, like, what are these, like, what is this even? What am I doing? And then you feel like, well, did I invest the wrong points once you get into a certain level? And there's like just question mark that happens with stat allocation. Versus Path of Exile, where it's just like you don't stat allocate. You do get main stat, basically through the tree as part of your skill tree allocation, but it's not necessarily what you're trying to do. You're not like pathing to get main stat unless you're like a really niche like main stat stacking build.
But the weird thing with POE is like items that have requirements. You're like, exactly. I need 10 more int for this to work. Let me go grab some out of my skill tree.
Yeah. Or through stat through the items themselves.
And you're like, man, I need 10 more. I need 30 int. I could take this node and get it, but damn, then I can't get this on my skill tree. Like, so it's definitely a struggle.
And then like, do I drop a resistance so I can pick up intelligence on a craft or it's a big deal. Yeah. And so you have to rework your entire build around it. And at times there's been times where I've been really frustrated with that system in PoE. And there's been times, with Harvest, you can change resistances, so it becomes a little less of like a crazy like whole night thing if you just want to swap one item in your build. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely both systems have their pros and cons. But to me, if you're asking me, I would obviously 100% prefer the PoE style system where you just get your stats from like your gear. A per stat level allocation, I just think is dated, and the only game that's really done it recently is Wolson, and look at Wolson basically is
rough.
Yeah.
Rough. Yeah. Shout out to Wolson.
Shout out to Wolson, by the way. Still full price.
Yeah. Oh wow. So yeah, I'm interested to see. I don't want to bias the poll too much, but I agree with your opinion on it. I think that you can get your points from the tree, and then you can allocate how you want in your skill tree. The leveling points don't really matter because there's always going to be you need to put points here. There's always going to be that, do this, and you're going to do that in the skill tree either way, right? But it does become messy in PoE though. Like I had that happen where I switched to item, and then I spent the next 2 hours like shuffling stats trying to make items work again. Because I'm like, oh. And for me as a newer PoE player, that I didn't even think about it. Like I, spent all this chaos on buying this item, and then I bought the item, and then I'm like, oh wait, now I can't even put this on. I put it on. I'm like, wait, now I can't wear my weapon because I need this. Or so then, 2 hours later, I'm like, well, we did it, boys. But
yeah. And then you've got your Diablo 3 style. Like maybe that should have been a poll where it's like, who cares, right? You just put it on. Yeah. You just get it. You just put it on.
Right. True.
So
yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's people that like that.
It's an interesting thing to see. I'm curious to see what people are gonna go with. But yeah, if you're getting over like, because that weapon had 144 dex plus 70 something main all stats, anyways, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's on top of the dex. It's going to add another 70 something dex. That's over 200. It's going to give you more than you earned your entire leveling process on one weapon. So that seems to make it pretty insignificant. But
yeah,
leveling's a weird thing, man, because it should matter. You want it to feel good when you get a level, but at the same time, like that can't be the game defining mechanic.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and again, when I go back and I think about Wilson, I think about Diablo 2 that have done that system. It's way more. It's like the stat to me is just like an afterthought, and it's like, okay, well, I'll go ferocity if I'm playing Wilson, for example. I'll go dex because I'm missing in Diablo 2. It's kind of an afterthought. It's not I don't get excited to get 5 more dex when I level in Diablo 2. I get excited to get that extra skill point to put in my tree.
Yeah,
that's the drive. And so for me,
yeah,
I'm
with you. I the more I played PoE, the more I liked the skill tree. You know,
exactly.
I think it was a thing that I was like, it's not even honestly that scary once you play a little bit. Like once you look at it, it's just like it's really not that big of a thing.
Yeah.
And even as a new player, that I'd be the first to admit I don't know crap about PoE. Like I played and followed guides and got assistance from people that were good, but it's like and it's still one of those things where you play, you look at the skill tree, it's like you can kind of figure it out. After you play a character, you can like, okay, I understand what they're doing here, and a lot of this makes sense. And it's not that scary. It's just like, oh wow, but this is only at the tip of the iceberg. Look at all these other
Yeah.
branches you could go down and play. So
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up because like that was a discussion I had a lot of this week. It's like first you see it, you're like I feel like this
what?
is a little large or like that's kind of
Yeah.
crazy. But then as you like play it and you get into it, you're like, well, I mean, it's really, I mean, you kind of know where you want to go. It's
Yeah.
pretty easy to map out, and it's kind of fun to sit there all night and kind of map out a build. But at the same time, you know, now that we played it a lot, it's hard to go back to like not having that robust of choices. Like there's no choice in D3.
If it's not that big, you're just gonna be like, well, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Like they call a talent tree in like WoW Classic a talent tree, right? Because in WoW they even got rid of that. Like they just give you choices. And there's like 5 choices. What do you want? But WoW Classic has a talent tree. But if you look, it's like not really. Like
Right.
you know what I mean?
There's a meta path.
It's like a path, and it's like you get a choice or 2, and that's really it. It's not like we're on PoE. It's like, man, I could go this route to get like your end game area is like pretty defined, right? You're like, I need to get here, but I could go this way to get there, or I could go this way to get there, or a different way. And it's like, if I go this way, I could focus on bleed. If I go this way, I could focus like impale, whatever, just for a melee build that I was playing. But it was really cool just to see all the different branches and the skills, and like, oh, I need some resistance, man. I'm getting pooped on really hard. Let me go up this branch and get some of that real quick. And so
Yeah.
it was cool. And like as a new player, I enjoyed it. I didn't feel like it felt that daunting at first. So that's something I hope Diablo 4 really expands on. I really hope that skill tree is not final, and they keep like somebody there has played PoE and goes like, listen, guys, I know, just stick with me for a little bit. We're gonna put this bad boy in the game, and it's gonna be awesome. People will love it. I promise.
Right. Yeah. Me too, man. I'm with you. That skill tree was a step in the right direction versus what we saw, but then when we really broke it down, it was like, well, this is actually exactly the same as what we already had.
I was disappointed when I saw it instantly. Like, I don't know about you, and I tried to be like objective.
Of course,
and like,
disappointed. Yeah.
But when I saw it, I was like, dude, this is the right way, but we need more. Like, this is
way more.
This is a quarter of what I want.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
So,
like if they had one of those skill trees per skill, and then we're talking.
That was a branch of the tree, and like every one of the branches was one of those things. Then all right, now we're talking.
And Blizzard can make a cool like UI interaction where you like click in on a branch of the tree and it's like, and you like you get closer and you see like a whole bunch of other
hired their
branches.
Twitter guy to do it. Fuck, he's killing it, man. You know, like listen, that guy will do it for you.
Yeah,
you know,
pretty sure it's a girl, but yeah,
shout out to Twitter guy, man.
Twitter guy girl.
So, Twitter guy girl. I don't know. They're just
girl.
Guy is a non-gender guy.
True.
It's just like
one of the because we're from the Midwest, but for a lot of the rest of the world.
I say, do you get this? I call people dude a lot.
Yeah.
And even my wife gives me a hard time because I called her dude earlier today. I said something like, peace out, dude, as I walked out of the room, just messing around. And she's like, see you, dude. Hey, dude. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go. But I say dude, I call guys and girls dudes, and some girls get mad when I do it. I'm like, listen, that doesn't mean like you're a guy. It just is like homie,
Okay.
So
yeah.
Do you do that as well, or is that just a me thing?
If I call Lindsay a dude or a bro, I'm usually like joking, but
would she be like, I'm not a bro?
No. She'd probably just go with the meme. Be like, later, bro.
Got it.
But yeah, so that was kind of interesting. And then I love this. I had to bring this up. This happened actually a bit ago. I just forgot to bring it up. So I'm sure you saw this, right? So Final Fantasy VII Remake mobile. Did you see this?
I didn't see this. No.
Okay. Well, I'm glad I could introduce you to this.
Oh man, don't ruin things for me, dude.
A second mobile game we're presenting today at Final Fantasy VII is Ever Crisis. It's a single-player chapter struggle. It's basically Final Fantasy VII, the original, retouched, remastered for the phone.
Hold on, I'm looking. I want to see this now. Did you commented
It's on
on
the
it, right?
screen. It's on the screen.
That's hard for me to see.
Okay. Yeah,
But
and so yeah, it's Final Fantasy VII. Arguably one of the best games of all time, being represented on your mobile device. And so I reply, once again, I find myself asking, any plans to make this playable on PC, or is this strictly mobile forever?
oh, and
And Wyatt replies, "That's bait."
No, that's really good, man. I didn't see this, dude. I missed this whole chain.
Oh,
He
shit.
said that's bait. Listen, that's bait meme is one of the best memes ever. That is probably a highlight of the year's worth of tweets, man. That is hilarious, dude. He says that's bait right there. Oh man.
Yeah, pretty
Good stuff, man.
pretty good stuff.
See, Wyatt's cool. He's embracing the meme.
Yeah.
Totally embracing the meme.
Yeah.
So that looks good though, man.
Yeah, it's best for your phone.
Did you see? Listen, since we're on Final Fantasy VII, did you see the PS5 remaster juiced up 60 FPS with the addition? I'm gonna play this. I can't wait. I'm gonna play it again.
You're gonna
Playing
actually
it
play that again on purpose.
Yes. It's gonna be great, dude.
That's disgusting.
So good. I can't wait till the second installment comes out and you go buy a PS5 just to play it.
Oh, yeah, there's just no chance unless you see it's like a crazy open world. But there's no way. It's gonna be all linear and crappy. Anyways, I could go on a tangent about how much I hated Final Fantasy VII, but remake or whatever.
So if they released this on PC, if they PC ported the original Final Fantasy VII, would you play it?
Look good like this does. Yeah, I'd play it.
Yeah, this looks better. So what is this, man? Is this like a chapter structured single player game covering the whole timeline?
Mm-hmm.
But they just I don't know. We'll have to see how this plays. Are they going to like individually sell every chapter? That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
It sounds very mobile.
It's retouched, chat. It's not straight up copy paste of the original. So yeah, I would want to play this on PC. I don't want to play this on my phone. Call me crazy.
You played Immortal. What if they would feature you in like EA's opening thing? Like, what if they did a deep dive and they had Fluff just sitting there going ham on this thing? Would you do it?
No. What do you mean?
Maybe you should send them some of your Immortal streams. You could be like
rank 1 worldwide. Yeah,
dude, you could be the phone god. That could be your thing.
I literally already was. I don't know if you know, but that was rank 1 worldwide. Diablo Immortal.
This could be your new calling, man.
But yeah, I paid the iron price because I died for like a week after I played Immortal so much because I was in so much pain.
Of mobile. There you go. Like, chat, everybody listening to the podcast, go tweet at Final Fantasy VII Remake and say, did you see this fluffy guy play Immortal? You need to get him the game. Like, he will go 40 hours a day. Chat.
Oof.
All right. I'm just trying to pitch for you, man. I'm trying
Thanks,
to help
man.
you out.
Appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
And then there's some Diablo 2 news. So some of you guys saw this flashbang, by the way. Basically, they're making it so if you still have your original Diablo 2 save files, you can resurrect them on Diablo 2 files resurrected. So you can have your old characters, but on the new engine.
And immediately, I didn't read the details. I assume that these are for the offline only. There's no way they're going to give you an import.
Yeah, no way.
There's got to be zero reasoning. That would lose the interest to me instantly. I'd be like, okay, I want Battle.net characters that are going to be verified like goodness. You know?
Yeah.
So, but that's cool. I guess if people are, I guess a lot of people hated on D3 for being online only, no offline mode. You know.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's still a debate to this day for D4. People want their offline.
I don't understand how, but I mean, I guess if you live in areas with bad internet, I get it. Sure. I suppose, but
I'm fine with it. Just keep it separate. Never let those boys connect ever.
Never let them connect ever.
Yeah, literally.
It's like, those characters.
As soon as you play offline mode, like your disk just like fries the online portion or something.
Yeah, it's like big prompts. It's like, do you accept that you will never be able to play this game online ever?
Yeah. Yep. But yeah, I thought that this was interesting. I do think it's not specifically said, but I gotta assume that this is offline only. But then it's like I could be like, oh, yo, like I was the best Diablo 2 player ever. I'm gonna go copy my buddy's save file or find a save file on the internet with like the best necro gear in the world.
I'm gonna get a cheat engine and just hack in 99 of every item and max stats all the way over. I'm like, yeah, I totally did this.
Yeah. So for me, it's just like, I mean, cool. I guess there's gonna be people out there that are pog out over this, but for me, it's
people still play the game like a madman. So those guys probably they probably have some pretty crazy characters that they're like, oh, this is amazing.
I think Matt himself will just push for this feature because he's got a 99 necro. Right. He doesn't want to level again because he's busy. Yep. So he's like, well, I'll just import it. No big deal.
I'll just import my dude.
Yeah.
Somehow his 99 necro is going to end up in BNet though. They're going to be like, look, guys, producer privilege.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like, just, cut this bad boy in. Yeah. It's clean. It's legit.
It'll be Matt that brings in the hacked items. Guaranteed.
Yep. Thanks, Matt. That's all.
And then, this is really interesting to me. So I'm about to show you things that are very polarizing. Okay. This is Reddit. The current state of Reddit.
Maka TOS?
I actually think I lost one of them. Hang on. This one? They're both unpopular opinion. Yes. Okay. So unpopular opinion 1 is this post, and it got 969 upvotes. This guy says, unpopular opinion, I hope the D2R devs do not listen to you and your ideas. Going on to say, reading through the post lately, and it's been quite an eye-rolling experience. As an OG player, I'm generally concerned about the amount of people advocating for core elements of Diablo 2 changing and what versus what made it great. I pray the developers don't feel pressured or obligated to try and appease these ridiculous requests. This is a remaster, not a remake. Enjoy it for what it is, or don't play it. Go find some other game to break. 969 upvotes. And then, on the contrary...
I can rebuttal that, but okay.
Yeah, we got 789 vote, unpopular opinion. Diablo 2 is out. If you want the same game from 20 years ago, go play it. And then he goes on to talk about the game's busted, and everyone that still plays this game is playing a modded version anyways, which is tons of new features and functionality that the original didn't have. Not a ton of people still play the vanilla original game, so
yeah. I agree with opinion number 2. And then did you see the other unpopular opinion that it's actually popular to start a title with unpopular opinion? They're like, unpopular opinion, it's actually popular. It was pretty funny. So yeah, man, I think that the Diablo Reddit's blowing up because of the Diablo 2 posts. I went and looked at it, a little bit today, and it was just all Diablo 2 stuff. And people got a lot of ideas, and people are very opinionated on those ideas.
Yes. We're seeing 2 very different camps here, very vocal camps. And so it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Again, if you're asking me and P, it's have your original, perfect purist mode.
Yeah.
Give us all, people that want to play a game from the 21st century.
Right.
The new thing.
You got your purist mode for use that want the 20th century.
Yeah, for the guys that like to issue death threats, we've got that mode for you guys.
We've got Atari mode. You can just flip the switch. It's still there. Yeah.
But I agree. If you want to just play that, just go play that.
Yeah, man. I mean, my opinion is kind of still the same. They're not making this game for me. They're making it for the purist guys. So if they don't change things, I'm okay. I guess I'll live. I want them to change things. I want a new Diablo title for me, but that's just me being selfish, because once D4 comes out, assuming it's going to be good, I'm not going to play this, Yeah. So keep it pure for the purist, because if D4 drops and I don't play it, then I'm in a bad spot anyways. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And if D4 drops and I love it, I'm not playing D2 remastered or resurrected at all, so I don't know, man. So my opinion, I guess, is to sway towards leaving it alone. But
my opinion is it comes from a good place, I promise. Because it's not oh God, purists forehead. It's right. I want players to experience what made Diablo 2 a great game. And some would argue like, oh, you don't have any idea what made Diablo 2 a great game. But I think at its core, it's the itemization, it's the skill tree, it's, making a character that felt unique to your play style, that felt your own, and going, crazy in depth with that and building out something special. I don't think Diablo 2 is about, weird 2-click actions. I don't think that Diablo 2 is about the stamina bar. I don't think that Diablo 2 is about, all the nuances that don't work in the current year. Yeah. I don't think that that's what makes Diablo 2 at all. I think it is.
I agree with you. I think quality of life improvements are fine. I think changing the core mechanics of the game is where the gray area starts to happen. But quality of life, like 2 clicks, like, are you serious? Force move button? Okay. Like that's, I don't even understand how that's even a debate. I don't understand how you can argue against a force move button. Like what's the argument there? Like, no, how dare you control your character better?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? Weird. Like, I don't even understand. I want people to experience it for what it was. D2 is still there. You can still go play original D2 right now. I could install it on my PC. And so if I really care about force move that bad, then play that one. And that's your game, man. Then the original is your game. The Resurrected it's a 2021 update, man. Like, so I'm with you on that. But I think changing too much could be bad if they start changing any kind of gameplay mechanics or end game activities or things like that. I personally would like it. I'd be like, dope, let's do it.
Let me put it to you this way though, too, right? So like, let's say, poof, Diablo 3 shuts down tomorrow. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, we hear wind. Like we're doing New Meta podcast episode 9000 and we're boomers.
Yeah.
And we hear wind of a Diablo 3 Resurrected. Okay. And it's going to be, patch 3.13, the latest patch of Diablo 3. And remastered, and it's going to look really cool. But both of us, as these crazy longtime Diablo 3 players, we're going to immediately think like, okay, well, that's really cool, but man, it'd be cool if like Poison Scythe was better. Or it'd be cool if like Juliana's was better. You know what I mean? Like those don't compete. Yeah. And so it's like, for me, when I think about this, I played a lot of Deep 2. I think like, well, I always wanted to play like Poison Dagger Necromancer, and it was never like really that good compared to like just a minion build. Like you could just crap all over the end game with a minion build versus like really trying to make a Poison Dagger like melee Necromancer doesn't really work because it was like underwhelming and maybe under buffed basically. And so it's like I think those are considerations, and it sucks that the game's going to come back and it's going to be exactly like it was, because like I'm going to want to like go in and make a melee necro just to be disappointed in high definition. So
like, rats are back in 2041, right. It's just like, well, do I want to do rat runs again? No. Would it be fun for like a day? Probably. If we hadn't played the game in 10 years, would Fluff and I grind some rats hard for a week or two? Absolutely. How many weeks would it take before we're tired of it? I guarantee 2 weeks. We're going to be like, well, I'm off to, whatever WoW expansion they have out. Yeah. So I don't know, man. Yeah, I'm with you. I agree with that. Diablo 3 is a weird spot because I think it's like in that hybrid live service game era. Where like I think they designed it as a box game, but then it kind of was like, yo, if this game's gonna live, we gotta live service it. We gotta give it updates frequently. But it wasn't designed that way initially. So for us, I think we're used to getting the balance changes all the time. But did D2 get a lot of balance patches? I don't think so.
No. They did get patches, but like there was like a period of like patching, but it was very, very, very early on to like mostly fix bugs and stuff like that. There wasn't like, oh, we see this is underperforming, so let's buff it or something like that.
Let's fix it, right? Let's change the meta, right? Yeah, that's a hard thing, man. So for me, through my Diablo 3 eyes, I would be like, please rebalance things, please change things. But I guess a lot of D2 guys don't feel that way.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's crazy to me because like, you've been playing the game for 20 years this way. Wouldn't you want new stuff?
And so, to follow this up, I wanted us to do something together. Okay, so there's a poll out there. I'm going to spam it for you guys. on Reddit. This guy is basically accumulating information. A Diablo 2 Resurrected survey. Okay. Let's do this. So question 1.
Zoom that in a little bit for me.
Okay, I can do that. I can do that for chat as well. Okay.
Nice.
Have you played the original Diablo 2 LOD?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Once, 20 years ago.
Should shared stash space be increased? Original size is 8 by 6 squares. Option 1, yes, 10 by 10. Option 2, yes, multiple 10 by 10 stash tabs. Option 3, yes, unlimited. Option 4, no.
You know I love my stash. Let's go multiple 10 by 10 tabs.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yep. Unlimited, we don't know how the architecture of Diablo 2 looks, but that can cause server performance.
I mean, multiple stashes, you're good. You know, you can manage a little bit.
Yeah. Should there be separate inventory space for charms? Yes, but only charm should work in the charm inventory. Yes, charm should work in charm plus normal inventory. No.
So this is a if you're a purist or not question right here. I would say I'll let you pick. I'll let you go on this one. I would say yes, but
yeah, I like the Diablo 3 talisman idea. I'm sad that they scrapped it. I liked the last epoch. You've got your square space that you put your charms in, and you have to like min max because it's like Tetris basically. I do like that system. I think it would work really well in Diablo 2. I definitely like taking up inventory space.
I think I like the first option.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yep. Should the inventory space be increased? Yes. Yes, but only in combination with a separate charm inventory where charms work, blah, blah, blah. No.
Nah, I don't think you need it. I would say either yes with the charms if you want to do the charm system from above a little bit, but I think the woes of picking stuff up. I hate inventory management, and so if you increase inventory size, it means more management I have to do. So I would probably vote no.
Wouldn't you have to do more inventory management if there's less space?
No, because I think ultimately you're just going to start not picking stuff up. You're just going to be like, well, my station's full. I'm only going to pick up the items that I know I'm after. Like if I know I'm after whatever, a dagger or something, I'm going to pick up daggers.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah, I'll go with 2.
Okay.
Should runes and gems be stackable? Which they are. We know from the Q&A panels they are not.
Yeah, for the same.
Yes, like what are we even talking about? Should quivers have unlimited ammo? Which is a good question because you have to pick up arrows in Diablo 2.
Yes,
absolutely,
man, because it sucks. Yeah, who doesn't?
Javelins, arrows. What are we talking about? Spears, whatever. Should there be minor spell balancing to make useless / bad spells viable? Yes, no.
Yes.
Should there be some Diablo 2 purist in chat is freaking out right now.
I know. He's like, oh my God.
Should there be some minor mercenary balances to make useless / bad mercenaries more viable?
I don't care.
I mean, you have to, like, if you play Diablo 2 at a high level, you have to run like a meta mercenary.
So, do you? So yes. Oh yeah.
I don't really care. I mean, I guess I wouldn't want them to waste dev time on that though. Of all these other things. Should there be minor item and rune warning balances to make useless / bad items / rune wards more viable? Yes.
Yeah,
of course. Yes. Should the at least 6 months ladder season cycle be changed? Yes, make it shorter with 3 months. No, make it longer with 9 months. Or just no, it should stay 6 months.
6 is fine, I guess. I
mean, I'm gonna say 3 because that's what we've kind of been programmed for, right?
Yeah, 6 is a long time, but if it works, I don't really care.
I guess it depends if those cycles are based around a patch. If they're not, then like I don't really give a shit.
There's no like they don't patch it now, right? So every 6 months they just reset it just for the same guys to probably take it again, right?
Yeah.
So I don't really care, I guess.
Should non-ladder rune words drop restrictions be removed? 100%.
So all rune words drop in non-ladder games? Yeah, sure. Why not? Why wouldn't you want it?
Should the players / X command to increase XP and drops be available on Battle.net? No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Yeah, no way.
Should there be an optional modernize spell hotkey system?
Yes. Absolutely.
This is something I want, just period. Like, regardless of what they change.
Yeah.
Should there be an in-game rune word / Herodic Cube encyclopedia?
Yeah, not having to leave game is amazing,
Yes,
but
I agree.
yes.
Again, I wouldn't want them to waste div time on this, but yes,
Yeah.
there should be. It's better game design.
Yeah.
Should there be an optional loot filter to make certain drops, like runes, be more visible?
I haven't played in so long. I don't know how much loot vomit there is in D2.
You can see like a ton of arrows, for example.
So I would say yes.
Yeah,
then.
I'm saying yes as well.
Yeah.
Should there be a kill tracker where you see how often you've killed boss X and get stats of the drops?
That's what websites are for.
Yeah,
I guess.
I would say no.
I would say no on that.
Because then, like, you don't want to present like, oh, you've gotten in one of your 100 Awakener kills, you got an Awakener orb. Because you're like, fuck, man, I never get lucky, but to know how unlucky you are, it's bad.
It definitely deters you.
Yeah. Should there be an option to toggle show ground loot, so you don't have to keep alt press every time? Pretty standard stuff. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Why wouldn't that? That's not a thing. God damn.
Should there be optional additional tooltips on items that show possible min racks rolls of the stat? Naggle ring. Example, Naggle ring 21 magic fine from 15 to 30 magic fine.
Yes.
Yes. Of course. This is categorized as content changes. Should they add at some point more end game content like the Pandemonium event?
I mean, yes. To me,
but yeah,
man.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're on the same page here, I think. Like, yes, but like compared to these other stuff, should they put a bunch of dev time on that? Of course, we would want that, but like, yeah. Should they add at some point new items, rune words, and Project Cube recipes? I mean, we're gonna say yes. Why would we ever say no?
Yeah. Again, the purest lover in me is like, I'm sorry, guys, but for me personally, yeah, I would want that.
Yeah. Should there be an option, personal loot in multiplayer? Which I don't know if you've played Diablo 2 multiplayer, but you just like steal people's shit. It's whoever's as fast as click.
No, man. Make people. The real answer is yes, it should.
Yeah. Why would you ever group with random people?
It's funny to steal people's shit though.
It just doesn't create a good community.
The troll in me is no, but yeah, you absolutely should. You absolutely should.
Should there ever be an additional / easier way to respec? I'll let you answer this. Yeah, I say no. 100% agree. I didn't know if you had a more casual answer, so I was gonna let you answer.
No, you should. You're locked in that.
Should you be able to open the cow level after killing the cow king? So some of you guys don't remember how this works. Is you would open the cow level, and then you would never be, if you killed the cow king after that, you would never be able to reopen the cow level on that difficulty.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, I'm kind of like torn on this one because it sucks to like look out. I don't want to accidentally kill the cow king, but I don't love that. Like one of the ways you farmed in Diablo 2 was killing the cows. I thought that was kind of like.
I don't like cow level in
dark,
general.
gritty game, and you're killing cows that like go moo 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 moo.
Yeah, it's a meme joke that they put in that should not be the most. It's to be there as like crap loot. You know what I mean? And like if you want to get butterfly wings from it or something, like that's fine. But it shouldn't be the optimal way to farm gear. You know?
Should the Nihilithek portal stay open after completing the quest and getting waypoint?
Yeah,
I think that was like, is that one of the quests you had in like Act 5 or something? You was like going and I don't know.
I don't know either.
It's like a farmable zone or I don't know.
Yes, I think it should.
Yeah, I guess if you need to farm that zone, hopefully that wouldn't be like we want to get away from like this zone farming. I think. Are there other changes you'd like to see that were mentioned in the survey? We're not going to answer that, but yeah, that's us. So we literally
has submitted their vote.
There's only one thing we're like, no, keep pure, which is the respec. We don't want the respec. Everything else is like, yes, yes, yes. Oh, kill tracker, we don't want that. And player XP / drop commands on BattleNet, we were both like, fuck no.
I don't even know why that's a serious question.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, everything else for yes.
You gotta keep battle.net pure. All the mods and shit can exist offline. That's totally cool. And they should maybe even give an option for people to play. Use battle.net for matchmaking to play those offline modes together, maybe. But unofficially supported, I guess.
Yeah.
But there needs to be a battle.net server section where it's like your character is only stored here and it's pure. It's good. So
yeah, but spam that link chat if you guys want to fill that out. You should. It's just data. I doubt Blizzard would ever use it, but it's just interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Like our polls we do every week. It's interesting. I doubt
Listen,
Blizzard
they got
cares.
leaderboard filter from us. I don't care what anybody says. That's 100.
Yeah.
That is 100% thanks to new meta. I feel that way. I really do feel that way. So,
but yeah, so that's kind of all the Diablo 2 Resurrected stuff. Digging into, what this whole podcast started around, the Diablo 3, right? So if you guys don't know, we had a surprising second patch to PTR that happened last Thursday. I was not either.
My thought process before we got these Thursday, I honestly didn't even check Twitter or anything. It wasn't until right before I went live on stream that I was like, well, let me just check in case.
Yeah.
And they did. I was like, what? I thought that if they got, I was like, my thought process was, well, it came out Thursday. They had Friday to get feedback. And then like they would have to make design choices. They would have to gather feedback, make design choices, code those choices into the game, and then push a new patch out by Thursday. There's no way that happened. There's no way that timetable could exist. But I was wrong. They did.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was also surprised. I usually I take Thursdays. Lately, I've been taking Thursdays off to like watch shows with the grill, and yeah, I was like sitting there. It was like 5-6 o'clock, and I was like, blip, blip, a tweet from Diablo. I was like, oh damn, they patched today, motherfuckers.
So did you watch shows?
Yeah, I took the night. I just played Friday, right?
Yeah. Hey, I had I do WoW raids on Thursday with the guild, and it's like I missed the last Thursday for the patch because I'm like, this is big. I gotta do this. And then the next Thursday, I was like, dude, I can't bail 2 weeks in a row. Like, if you're on a dedicated team, they need you. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I feel bad, I'm like, well, I guess I'll just do it tomorrow. I'll do it Friday. So it was kind of funny because the two of us both hit it hard Friday and tested the things.
But yeah, so the big changes, really, I mean, what we're really going to kind of get into, I think, are obviously Rathma and Firebird changes. So I assume you got in there?
Yeah.
And me to test out the Firebird?
Off subject really fast. What is my background this week? What did you do to me?
Oh, yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. So we were talking about it, by the way. So that's Awakener die beaming you.
He's what? Die beaming me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He's casting his die beam on you. So
you get hit by that beam and you're died?
Yeah. You're dead. Unless you're lucky with spell dodge or spell block or something.
Okay.
But yeah, that's you. The Awakener is just going to kill you until you kill him. That's just going to be your background. Okay.
I'm getting picked on here. Okay. I get it. All right. Back to the good stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, so Firebirds and Rathma got changed, right? Let's talk about Firebirds first.
Okay.
I personally don't usually like test other classes because like the whole purpose of PTR really is to like get in there and test what like the back of your hand. So immediately it's necro for me. But I brought up the leaderboard and I saw the number one performing wizard build was using a melee skill. So I was like, oh, now I'm interested. And so I went and tested, and it's like I thoroughly enjoyed that playstyle. Obviously, it's way too strong right now. But that playstyle was really good. I really, really liked it.
I agree, man. So I went in and I checked out the boards to see what people had put together. And it was the same. It was using melee, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. And so went in and checked out the test. So they changed the. Well, do you want to hit the notes? You have the notes. Yeah. Why don't you read over the changes really fast, and then we'll talk about.
So they changed the 2-piece to be 3,000 disintegration damage or whatever to 7,500.
Yep. My guess is that's gonna get brought back down. But
And then they changed the 4-piece to casting destroy adds combustion stacks, blah, blah, blah. What did they change here?
they just moved the 4,000 damage bonus to the 6-piece, which is exactly what I said they would do
okay.
to fix.
Yep.
I was like, as soon as they saw the damage on 4-piece, I knew it was Tal Rasha's paired with it, and so that got moved to 6-piece, so you can't do that.
100%.
It just broke that.
Right.
But it's pretty much the same. And so they changed combustion stacks. They changed the rate at which they spin up. They spin up faster now. So if you channel disintegrate, you get your 100 stacks pretty darn quick. And they also degrade faster when you're not channeling disintegrate. So it's less of a forced you must channel to keep your stacks to a you have to channel every now and then to keep your stacks, which gives you a little bit more freedom in the playstyle.
Yeah.
So
the way it worked, the build that I saw that and I was like, wow, I could go push a 150, but I'm more interested in speed. And so I immediately was like, okay, well, how can we min max what we saw on the leaderboard for speed? And it was super fun, speeding like 2-3 minute 125s. Like, are you kidding me? Like with like 3K Paragon, that's insane. And it was super fun. Like you just port around because you got that teleport cooldown. You cast like a black hole, sucks everything in, make sure everything gets disintegrated, and then go to town with some melee swipes, and you attack crazy fast. So it was really cool. Actually.
Did you throw echoing in the cube to see what that play style was like?
I did not.
Fun. Yeah,
I kept the furnace for because I was elite sniping in my speed build.
Yeah, I was too for the most part, but killing anything gets you in that frenzy.
Yeah,
and then it's just like the attack speed. The attack speed paired with the shield generation from like galvanizing and deflection and all the stuff, it was just like it was insane. I ended up playing it quite a bit. I played the ladder push that everybody was kind of running with, and then I ended up changing it. I'm like, well, all right, let's see if we can make this tankier but still keep the same play style. And so I dropped out various skills, like you'd put it mainly in the cube, like you could drop convention of elements and then throw in the storm shield ring, a halo of Karini, I think is the name of it.
Yeah, and then run the electric cube. Yeah.
And then you're just like you are a beast. So you obviously lose a ton of damage from the convention of elements, right? But I was doing 130s. I'm just gonna spam 130s and change all these things up and just see how each one feels. And the tankiness made up for the damage and the fact that you didn't have to dodge anything. You could literally stand on top of stuff and just blow it up. But there were so many different play styles I tested. I tested like Echoing Fury, and you test like all these different weapons and all these different play styles and builds and abilities. And I actually liked it, man. I think that it's in a good spot. I like pretty much everything about it. My biggest problem with Wizard right now is their T16s still suck. I hate running. Like there isn't a build on Wizard that is fun to play. Teleport has a horrible animation lag that drives me crazy.
I didn't see, I played it and maybe because I'm so used to the Wizard, but like I didn't get triggered by it whatsoever because I expected how it played, I guess. I didn't think it was that bad.
It feels bad to me after playing Necro or playing Monk.
Yeah.
Like it's so noticeably bad. And I'm just like,
but then you go to play a Crusader and a Demon Hunter, you're like, oh, it feels bad, man.
Well, Demon Hunter's got God, which is just ridiculous. Like,
but that's movement speed. You still have to like walk around stuff, and that sucks.
Yeah, it's so fast though; it doesn't matter, But I'm with you. I don't know, man. Something about Wizard just doesn't feel like. Anytime I play any Wizard T16 build, I just think I would be so much faster on God. I would be so much faster on Monk, or even on Necro. Like I would just smoke this. So
yeah.
And that's a problem. That's a problem that Blizzard created with this crazy movement speed builds. So specifically God DH, I think was the breaking point for me, because after I played God DH for an entire season. And so by the end of the season, when you have your gear and you have your augments and you have your Paragon and you're playing like even low Paragon, like I say low as in like 1500, 2000 these days. But at 1500 Paragon with full Ancients augmented on T16 build, you are killing every single thing on the screen instantly as you roll through the whole rift. You do T16 so fast that it's like, even on the Wizard, the teleport animation can't even keep up with the God as he's just clearing everything as he runs through. So they broke it with that. And I don't necessarily want God to get nerfed. I just think Wizard needs a little. I think some of the other slower speeds need a little bit of like, okay, we're gonna run some speeds with monks and necros and DH. Let's try to get something that can at least keep up while these guys are plowing the whole screen.
Yeah,
you know.
I agree, which is so wild because if you look at Diablo 3's history, like there was a really long period of time where like Explosive Blast was how you farmed Torment.
Yeah, that was the spec.
So yeah, I agree in the sense that it'd be nice if they had something that was really, really quite strong for Torment and fast for Torment, but obviously didn't scale a lot like Necro has, you know.
Yeah, I don't want them to beat it. Like that's the problem. Is it's not like, okay, let's beat God DH.
Right.
No, like you don't need to beat it. Let's just make it like competitive. So if you're in a game with a God DH, you're not like, well, I'll catch up at the end. I'm just gonna go try to, go sit over here while you kill everything. Because that's what happens right now, or a good wave of Light Monk. You're just like, okay, bye. See ya.
Yeah, I would much prefer, I'm sure you would too, to have a class that's better at like GR farming than it is Torment farming. 1,000%. You guys you could make it to God DH to farm Torments or whatever.
100%. So Wizard's in a good spot though. So that's my little complaint is that I think Wizard didn't get any T16 love really to me. And a lot of people argue that no, Chantotos is really good and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Like, have you played God DH? Like, but aside from that, Firebirds is fantastic, man. I think it's in a great spot.
It's funny how we took it in different directions. Like you're like, how can I make this super tanky and like, Netflix and chill style? And I'm like, how can I pump the most damage out of this and be glass cannon and be super hyper focused? So I'm like throwing strong arms in and taking the mitigation
thing about this Firebird set. This is like one of the few where I think you're probably going to have like the upper echelon of people playing the exact same build the exact same way. But I think with the invention of these leaderboard filters and stuff, I think you're going to see some variation in the bottom half of the leaderboard from 500 to 1,000. I think you're really going to see a lot of variation in what people are playing on it, and maybe even from 500 to 100. And this set will support tanky. It'll support glass cannon. It'll support using a couple different skills. It'll support different gear combinations. Different legendary gems even. Like you could run the one that gives you attack speed and
pain enhancer.
Pain enhancer. Yeah, that's good thinking of it. Or you could run Gogok, or you could run like there's just all these different combinations
that you could run cooldown. You could there's so many guilds.
And that's something you don't get in Diablo 3 very often, where it's not like, hey, this is exactly what you run every single time you play this set. And so I like it, man. I'm really scared that they're going to nerf this into the ground and screw it up for the launch. I think where it's at now, it's obviously overtuned, but my personal opinion is that having something I would err on the side of overtuned than the side of undertuned, because it's the new shining thing for this patch. This is the new shiny trophy. You want the trophy to look good and clean and pretty. Don't dirty it up, and then you can tune, just like God DH. God DH came out super broken. Like let's be real. God DH was broken when they dropped it. They nerfed it the next season a little bit, and now they're nerfing it again the following season. And and to get it back into its place, I think it's okay if they did that with Firebirds. As well.
And I agree. It is a super fun play style. It's clean. They actually did a good job with this one. I think if we look at historically, some of the new sets that have been added have been a little resident sleeper. So I do like this one quite a bit in its current form. My only concern, obviously, so let's go forward with it as it is, or maybe nerf it like a 4GR, 5GR nerf or something like that. And it's still insane.
I wouldn't go forward like it is now. It's definitely overtuned.
Right. Yeah. But my only concern with that, right, is so next season we do that, or the season after that, we continue to bring it down. And then it kind of falls into like Diablo 3's current historical problem of like, okay, once this build's fallen out of the meta, we're going to like archive it and it's never going to be good again. And I hate that, right? Like Poison Scythe has gotten hit with that because like, the Grim Scythe was like double dipping somehow. And so now it can't push near what it could be. And they've never really like given it some light again. And so now
it's not even that old.
I know, right? 2-3 seasons ago. Yeah. And it's one of the cleaner necro builds for pushing. And now it's not really competitive anymore. So that's definitely sad.
That's why I think they should do hard resets every couple seasons. They need like I wish that they would pick a cadence similar to like what PoE does a little bit, where they have like small season, big season,
Yeah.
small season, big season. And the big season should be like balance reworks for majority of the sets. They should be like, okay, we're dropping the power on everything, like 15, 20 levels, and we're resetting. And the next 2 or 3 seasons, they got some headroom to work on some builds that we haven't played, and then everything's creeping back up. Boom, let's drop everything back down. I don't think people would get mad about that. You know, I really, at first, the one guy who plays the build that got nerfed the hardest is going to be super pissed off. But by the next season, you know, he's fine. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the opinion like everything should be playable, and we shouldn't like force players into like a spiked meta. But yeah, it's something needs to change because, like, you know, like these builds just die off, and it's just like, dang. Like I still really like Pestilence on a Necro, but I mean,
well, leaderboard's going to help that a little bit, though. At least,
yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. I mean, you're still going to run the metas to get the gear and stuff, but
Yeah.
at least like you said you like Pestilence, like, well, maybe you'll spend a weekend and be like, I'm gonna tear up some Pestilence this weekend. You know? Yeah,
I agree with what you said, and I will definitely do that. But it definitely feels bad that, like, well, I'm farming. I want to farm on Pestilence. I want to farm, you know, Blight Spear or something like that. But you know, I'm 15 GRs lower than Bone Spear.
For this season is because I know this season that if Wizard stays similar to how it plays, it's a fun set. I'm probably going to play Wizard next season, like everybody, right? But I don't want to do T16s on a Wizard. I don't. So I'm going to make a God DH or a Wave of Light Monk. I will make one of those 2 characters, maybe even a Necro because if Necro gets somehow, well, which we'll get to, if Necro can get some kind of rework or love, then maybe I'll play a Necro. But it's like I don't want a Wizard 16. So I'm gonna figure out something else, you know, to do. And I hate that. Like if I want to focus on a single class, you know, it's just these outliers for 16s are so good. They're so much better that it's like, you know, I'm gonna play them. So
yeah, it's not something I really ever had to consider, you know, since Necro came out, because we've kind of always been good at Torment.
Yeah, and they have multiple options too. Even I mean, with they
Mages,
so many good
Lancer,
things. Yeah. So
Nova even, which is crazy. And then we get into Rathma. And so the changes to Rathma, all right, so 2-piece got changed. Obviously, you know, they didn't want you to, I think their intention here is they don't want you to be able to spam Army of the Dead, because I still think the problem here is they're trying to force us into that, like, use Army of the Dead to get more Selena stacks and then Bone Spirit. And it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. But anyway, so they changed the 2-piece to bring down the cooldown to 0.25 seconds instead of 1 second. So now if you've played it, you'll notice like you're not really getting that many Army of the Dead procs anymore.
So like when I read this, instantly my thought process is, okay, so now we're getting a quarter of the Army of the Dead cast that we used to get, because you just nerfed the cooldown from 1 second to 0.25.
Yeah.
All right. So they've already gutted the damage to a quarter of what it was before. That's the first change I noticed. Okay.
Yeah. And then they go to 6-piece, which I actually do really like this change. So what they've done is they've capped the damage from the 6-piece to 8,500, which boils down to 17 minions, which
boils down to
just running Revive and Command Skeletons, which is great.
No mages.
Hell
yeah.
But the interesting thing here, and what I really like, and I don't even know if this was on purpose because it's kind of big brain, is you still benefit on the 2-piece from mages.
Okay.
So technically, if they wanted, they could bring back that playstyle and it would be cleaner now than it originally was, because you're not depending on those mages for your damage. You're just depending on them for your cooldown.
For your damage.
So the more of the mages you can get out, the better your Army of the Dead uptime is going to be, but you're not going to do less damage.
Effing mages.
Yes, I get it. But
yeah,
I think that's kind of interesting is what they went with that change, because it does open up possibilities if they want to separate the 2 playstyles, which I 100% think that they should, because like you got your Bone Spirit, which, you know, benefits a ton from like Revive and Devour and like Land of the Dead even, and like it's just a whole different playstyle. And then you get your Army of the Dead that really just benefits from, like, you know, having poison skills on your bar, or like high cooldown reduction, not really Land of Dead does nothing for it. Devour does nothing for it. And so like there's two very conflicting play styles that they're trying to merge into one. And so it's unfortunate that like, okay, we're going to have a build that you can combine Army of the Dead and combine Devour to make one decent build. I'd rather have it so like, let's make Army of the Dead really good standalone, and it's like Bone Spirit really good standalone. And they just don't work together because they just don't work together. And you would never run them together. And we have two different ways to play. And theoretically, a ton of speed builds that could be different varieties versus just like one. So
yeah. I personally, so I think Bone Spirit is a lame skill, and I haven't played it in the new set at all. But I have zero desire to really, unless I saw some footage of you like rocking some shit, and I was like, oh, that looks really cool. I'm gonna check it out. I've used the skill. I'm like, this isn't interesting to me. I want to run Army of the Dead and minions. That's interesting to me personally. So it's like I want to run that, and so I agree with that. I hope they separate it so where I'm not like, well, this is a Bone Spirit build just masked in other things. So, you know.
Yeah. And I agree. I think that a lot of people are being like, well, Bone Spirit's pretty boring. And even though like we made a Bone Spirit build that was like based around like high cooldown, Army of the Dead, and like you spam them out, it honestly played like a hard hitting Corpse Lance. Like you're basically waiting on your cooldown reduction for Land of the Dead. You're popping a trash mob. You're standing in that Oculus, and you're just throwing Bone Spirits nonstop at the elite pack.
Sucks because every Necro build is wait on Land of the Dead, stand in a circle, and max your cooldown. Like pretty much every build. That's what we've always done. It's like, what do you need to get on your Necro? Cooldown in every single slot, maxed out.
Yeah, and again, like if you like that playstyle, I think it'd be cool if you really want to use Bone Spirit. But yeah,
the other problem I see with this build is that if you die on the Rift Guardian, you are effed because you have no way to get your revived minions back up.
Well, if the Bone Spirit, like if that playstyle went through where you would actually run Land of the Dead, yes, you would be able to get them back up, no problem. But if they want you to use the two skills together, you don't really have the room on your bar to run Land of the Dead or Devour for that matter. And you're going to be sitting, you know, with your blank in your hand and like wondering what the hell you're supposed to do.
You're like, well, I guess I leave the Rift now. I got all the way to the Guardian and I died.
Yeah.
So, you know, peace out, buddy. I argued this a little bit the very first iteration of this set. I was like, man, this could cause problems if you don't have your arm, you know. Chat was suggesting that you could go get your army back outside of the Rift and then carry it into the Rift with you, and maybe you can.
Well, there's solutions here, right? So,
but I'm like, that's horrible though. Like, no, that shouldn't be a thing.
If they separate the playstyles, right? So if they separate the playstyles and you got your Bone Spirit playstyle, which is based around Land of the Dead, you get your Viver minions out, no problem. Just pop Land of the Dead. It's the cooldown you're waiting on anyways. If they separated the Army of the Dead out, then you could just run the rune on mages that gives a corpse when they die.
Yep.
And so you're spamming corpses. Yeah. So like either way, it's fine. But if you combine them, it's probably not fine.
Right. But then we're going back to spamming though. And this build was so much spam that I was excited when I saw that mages were gone. But if you're still spamming mages for cooldown and spamming mages for corpses, you really haven't changed. You're still spamming all of your stuff. You're spamming the mages. You're spamming your bone shield. You're spamming what else would you spam in this?
Yeah, so the new version of the push build, unfortunately, is based around invulnerability, and you're spamming command skeletons to proc your Obsidian of the Zodiac to get your cooldown of Land of the Dead up, so that you can stay invulnerable to damage, because there's a weird interaction with captains, which I hope they fix. So yeah, it is still incredibly spammy, because you are using the command skeletons. The nice thing is you can numlock at least. You can numlock command skeletons, and it's off the GCD. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. But ultimately, go ahead.
It sucks because Necro is like so many builds play around spamming Devour or spamming whatever button.
Yeah.
Like Necro is such a spammy. And I honestly felt like even the Firebirds you had to spam Explosive Blast or something, right? And that didn't feel great. But Wizard has a couple play styles in the past, like Talrasha Meteor Wiz, and even the Frozen Orb build before they broke it with this Firebirds update. You didn't have to spam buttons. It felt great to not have to spam buttons in Diablo 3. And I feel like it's become a thing in so many builds where it's like, okay, this is your one damage dealer. Everything else you're just you're pretty much spamming on cooldown to buff yourself. And I don't like that, man. And I really would think it'd be badass if we could get a or a necro set that doesn't revolve around spamming devour or anything really. But yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting because Poison Scythe was that. That was like Poison Scythe, the Corpsemancer are basically the only builds you're not spamming something.
Yeah.
And both of them are underwhelming right now. Which is sad.
You just can't play that play style. So like the reason is it promotes numb locking. It promotes other means of spamming the skills because they don't have an auto cast built into the game. But realistically, when you look at it, you can't expect somebody to have a couple hour play session of spamming Devour. Like it's not realistic.
Yeah.
Like you can't for the rate you need to spam the key. You're just not going to do it, especially not for hours. So
they should really just give Devouring Aura for free and then stop the range of Devouring Aura. Just like be like the normal Devour range.
Yeah.
And just give it for free. Like honestly, that's 100% what they should do.
On the screen, it just gives it. Like boom, you got the corpse. Yep. You're good. Yeah.
Just get Devouring Aura for free.
There are definitely ways to fix it. We've talked about them in the past, but and even like I said, even maybe an easier fix for every class is if you right click an ability or
that's
click
even
an
better.
ability, just let it auto cast that for you. If it's off cooldown, the game will automatically cast it.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, is it lame? Absolutely. It's absolutely lame. But the game's designed around features that use that kind of casting. So I don't know how hard that would be to code, but that would fix it for every class, every skill. You don't have to go recode all these skills. Just shift click an ability and it's got like a little glowy outline or something and it auto casts for you.
Yeah.
I hope I don't think we'll ever get it. I hope we do. Maybe.
No, I don't think we will.
I don't think we will either though. So what were your thoughts? Like you played this. How much time did you put into it before you were like, man, what do you think is this gonna go live? Is this gonna get reworked? Like, what are your thoughts?
So I jumped into it, I could pretty much see the pitfalls just from reading the patch notes alone. It was interesting to see them say like, well, we did it that way originally because we wanted to see how uncapped powers would be utilized, basically.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, well then what are they seeking to gain from this iteration to see how bad Bone Spirit is? I don't really know. But yeah, I mean, I gave a massive essay of feedback to Blizz, so hopefully some of that gets listened to. I do think the play is to separate them. I do think it'd be much more exciting to get a couple play styles out of this Rathma rework than just one. I'm concerned, right, that we won't get another round of PTR, which I assume we're not. Unfortunately, so I think it'll close this Thursday. We will not.
I think they announced they were going to do a 1-day PTR on March 26th. I think.
Yeah.
The day you're on vacation.
Right.
Yeah, it's a 1-day PTR.
And it's just Necro.
Yeah, just Necro. They're gonna watch every stream. They're gonna broadcast every stream on their big TV board that the group uses when they're coding.
That's fair. But yeah, I have concerns that even with the third iteration of this, right? So people are like, oh my God, they killed Necro, which is kind of mind blowing. Like I've had so many people be like, God, what do you think about them killing Necro? I'm like, did you really think that Rathma 1.0 was going to go forward? Like, really? Like,
I got people on my YouTube comments talking like, delete your video. Like you ruined it for us. Thank you. And
really?
I'm like, really? Like this was super broken, dude. You were 100% immune damage.
Yeah.
Like how?
Did you make a guide on it or something? What video?
I made a new Rathma set.
Oh, okay.
Where it's at.
Yeah.
And they're like, good job, you ruined it.
Yeah, because it's you. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Well, I think they meant streamers in general.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? But
they can't look at the leaderboard.
But they're like, delete your video, please. And I'm just like, I didn't play it. So people asked me if I was going to play it, and I'm like, no. And they're like, why not? And I'm like, I don't have to. I read the patch notes. Like the patch notes gutted this. Like you nerfed the damage by 13,000%. You nerfed the cast time into a quarter. You put a 60-second internal cooldown on Rothma Shield that's not even listed in the patch notes. You like all these things, and I'm just like, I don't need to play it. Like this is garbage. Like it's not, and I say that in a non-mean way, but this is not gonna go live. I hope. If it does, then why did you bother in the first place?
And so that's been my argument. It's like there's zero chance. Like obviously 1.0 wasn't not going to go forward. It's too strong and it's too weird. Yeah. 2.0 is obviously not going to go forward. Like they can't have the Necro get a new set and it's just total garbage.
It's just as bad. I thought that, but see, here's my thing though, man. Like I thought Hydra was bad.
Yeah.
And
I
thought Hydra was bad and they reworked it.
Frenzy. I still think Frenzy's snooze.
Yeah, and I'm like, there's no way Hydra's going to go live like this. And it went forward in a state where I'm like, well, I'm not playing Hydra because I didn't think it was a good thing.
Agreed. You're right. Both are big concerns, right? So one is they do figure it out, and they do figure out a way to kind of force you into this like Army of the Dead, into some Bone Spirits, and it works. Mm-hmm. But is it fun? Is like the big question, like with the Hydra is like, and the Frenzy. Yeah. It's probably not going to be fun. So, and then the other concern obviously is like, we're not going to get a third iteration. So it's just going to go live with whatever they decided on. I don't know that. Yeah. I trust them to get it right.
My thing is it almost feels like they want to make it work, not fix the set. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like not fix the problem.
They're like, no, we're gonna make this work. It's like that boss that's like, hey, this is the idea I have, make it, and you're like, no, but this isn't a good idea. I don't care. We're gonna make it work. Yeah, and you're just like, no, like this is not a good idea. Like I understand and I appreciate the effort, but it's just not a good idea. Let's go a whole nother direction. And they're just, nope, we're gonna make it work. We're gonna patch it. We can make it. And that's kind of the vibe I get. But like you're saying, so we got changes on PTR to play it. If we don't get changes, if we don't get to play test another PTR, we're not going to get to give valid feedback on the set direction. And if the set takes a whole new direction, I think we really need another PTR. And if it doesn't take a whole new direction, then it's the idea that really shouldn't exist in the first place. So I'm pretty nervous about Necro, honestly. I'm not nervous about Wizard. Wizard's in a good spot. I think that set's going to go live and it's going to be thumbs up.
Unless they over nerf it.
I hope. Gosh, I hope they don't. You know what I mean? They do need to nerf it, but they need to. I would err on the side of it's a little bit broken. It's okay to be a little overpowered. Just don't over nerf it. So
yeah, I mean, I agree that I think this season has a lot of potential to bring people back or to drive new interest because there is the big follower change and it's coming off of BlizzCon, so a lot of people are high for Diablo. So I think it's important to have some new ways to play the game that are really fun. And so, I would caution on the side of over nerfing the Firebird. It is a super fun playstyle, and kudos for them to even generate that. I don't even know if it was on purpose, right? But yeah, so Rathma being bad, I don't know.
Oh man. Just like rats, man. Rats were unintended.
I agree.
I know. We had this debate like on one of the first podcasts ever.
Yeah, I don't know that. I think that they have ideas in mind, but I don't think that like whatever gets decided on, they foresee.
In 2021, I agree. I don't think rats were intended. When rats first got discovered, I figured that Blizzard intentionally designed them. But looking back at things now, I agree with you. I think it was just oops, we shouldn't have let that go through.
Oops, cool. Thanks. Well, like now people are gonna buy our pack. Yeah.
Oops, that's awesome. Firebirds is good though, man. I want Rothma to be good. I wanted a new Necro set to be good. And I hope it doesn't become the new Hydra where they just never fix it. They're like, well, it's already too late now. We're on to the next one.
Yeah. Agree.
We'll see. I did read your write-up. I read your write-up on the changes that you would make to it. And I like it. I think it's a pretty good direction. So, we'll see if they listen to you or not.
Yeah.
If they're like, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, my only concern with like my suggestions is like, is it going to take more work? Because obviously they have this like whole idea of Selena in their head of cast Army.
They got to put Army of the Dead damage back on that at minimum. I feel like
I don't know who
I don't
played
know,
this
man.
internally and was like, yes, Army of the Dead into Bone Spirit feels really good. I don't see how that ever worked. As like, what skills do you even put on your bar to make that a
Like, why
smooth
does
build?
Bone Spirit needs? I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't even know. It's a mess. Bone Spirit's just so bad, dude. Like, why?
Yeah, I was hoping like, I always wanted. I gave feedback like way back when, like it'd be cool if like Bone Spirit was like a proc on death kind of thing. So like that was the one thing I felt that Bone Spirit has been, even today, like Bone Spirit has been really successful. People really like it. It's lucky that it's strong because I don't think people would if it wasn't
I don't
strong.
think Bone Spear is that fun.
Yeah, you just spam spears, and like it lacks that like 5-head mechanic that like you're really aiming towards. You're just basically spam spears. I always wanted like a bone spear to happen on death or something with the spears. Like you'd kill something.
Like what if the corpse location was where a bone spirit would spawn and it would go towards your target?
Yeah,
like something like
auto
that.
tracking.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be dope. But
and they go through everything, right? They go through all barriers, all walls, all like they just go. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and it would look hella cool. The concern was lag.
Or what if you put something on the bracers, like when you devour a corpse, it spawns a bone spirit at the corpse to go towards your location. Because then your spamming a devour could become on demand. Like you could stack up some crazy corpses and then be like, all right, boys, boom. And then
lag out the game.
Yeah. Like that there could be some fun stuff you could do with something like that. But I don't know, man. In the iteration they have now, I'm just like,
but actually, and that's what I was going back to, is like actually casting Bone Spear or Bone Spirit is really unfun. And I think that that's what this patch has shown to us, is like without changing how Bone Spirit performs. And I even gave a suggestion that they should give some of the runes for free, but even that is like, it's still not really fun to cast because it is so slow. It looks cool. But I don't know what it is about Bone Spirit. It's just not very fun. Obviously, Army of the Dead is incredibly fun, and like doing Death Valley and like sucking everything in, and there's a bunch of skeletons on your screen. Like that feels really cool and it's exciting, and things blow up. But Bone Spirit's just like, some skeletons
don't
like,
get him, buddy. Tap him on the back,
You're just like run alongside him, like, come on, buddy, you can make it.
He's right here. Get him. Just like,
this is the guy. Just beat him to the target. This is the guy I want you to hit.
You know what? They could meme it and put the Bone Spirit in a wheelchair, and he's like going
it's just a boomer Bone Spirit. He's like,
he's like an old man. Like, oh shit. Yo, man, I just picture like the dad from Simpsons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm showing the age, man. I guess, fuck it, dude. We're you know that it's just funny that we've talked about boomers and old stuff, but a lot of younger kids don't even really know about Simpsons. You know what I mean? Like my son's generation, even though it's still on TV, they're like, "What?" I'm like, dude, crazy, man. Like we're, like so what's this new generation's thing? What's going to be their Simpsons? Because it's impossible for anybody our age to not get a Simpsons reference.
Right.
I
never really watched Simpsons, but still know what it is. Right?
Know it. If I go dope, like you still know that's Homer's, like dope from Simpsons. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the kids are watching these days.
We'll get some old wheelchair Bone Spirits going out.
Oh yeah.
So anything else in the patch notes that jumped out that we need to cover most?
There's some really small stuff around like the followers, and like we're getting some icons, some quality of life stuff there.
They didn't make the Poison Nova stand out more.
The one thing that was kind of weird, there's a few bugs right now in PTR. Like shield pylon is killing you, which is weird.
Yeah, I had that. I actually had a clip of that where I was like, what? I got killed with a shield pylon.
Yeah. Obviously Necro can get invulnerable again through a different route, which is really interesting. We knew that was the thing. It was just never abused, right? Invincilancer is based on this whole mechanic of being invincible.
Yeah.
But it was like a T16 build, so no one really cared. But now
and it's not perfect either. Like I definitely have died with my Invincilancer build.
Yeah. If you take more than your current health or something like that, you can still proc.
Yeah, it's a really weird thing, but it can happen. Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of all there was to, I think, really pull out of those notes.
Yep. So the TLDR, wizard good, necro bad.
Yeah, basically. And then Some other ARPG news
Okay.
we
There's
always
other
follow
ARPG?
along with, right?
Okay.
Is Lost Ark
Yeah.
got a new class. It's called a Striker.
Look at that, man. God damn, this game looks so good, dude.
Combat is insane in this
It is
game.
phenomenal. That looks fun, man. That looks really fun, dude. If you've played Lost Ark, you understand how the combos flow, and this looks like a berserker on steroids.
Yeah,
right?
but fast. Yeah.
Yeah, like a fast berserker combos.
Mhm.
Like this looks phenomenal. This would make me maybe come back and play Lost Ark a little bit.
Oh, I love the tornado.
Yep. Oh, that was cool. They blew up at
This
the end.
is
too.
ultimate right here.
They had the kick. They had like the what's the Street Fighter chick's name? Who did the fast kicks?
I don't know. Chung Li?
Cheng Li. Yeah, those are Cheng Li kicks, man.
This is like Ryu right here with his ultimate.
Yeah, but look at those kicks.
Yeah.
That's Cheng Li kicks, man. That's so dope.
Nutty.
Yeah, that looks good. That makes me want to go back and play some Lost Ark for real. So
Yeah.
when's that coming out? Is it
Never.
hidden? Is it hidden? Is Russia synced up with Japan now, or are they still behind?
They're still behind.
Or Korea, I mean.
So
sorry.
this is Korea. This class is coming to Korea, not Russia. And I guess this is coming with the ungender lock. So
Oh, they're adding. Yeah, okay.
you don't have to be like a
Male or female.
male or female anymore. So it's cool. But yeah, so this is Korea. This is not Russia. I think Russia will probably be like a year behind still.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I wonder if NA. I guess
I
NA
know,
will be-
right? That's the big question. It'd be so weird
It'd be weird
as
to be bottom of the totem pole.
overprivileged NA gamers to like
Oh, man.
get
To
our
get
gaming
second?
news from another country, right?
Yeah, it would. It would be super weird to get second dibs. Like
Yeah.
this has already been out for months and years, and when they were like, "Oh, we're finally getting it." Hype's gone.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
weird. But yeah, the latest thing we heard from Lost Ark is in terms of release is like, we heard they registered to Lost Ark, play lostark.com, but like did that like last year. It was around for May. They made it for May 7th. I don't know if that meant anything, but obviously they partnered with Amazon Games, but they have not said anything since. So really
Amazon's
just have-
pushed stuff back too since then.
Mhm.
So it's like I think the rumors were it was a 21 release, which was obviously this year sometime, but until it's official, man, we don't know. Did they ever officially say Lost Ark? Did
No.
Amazon ever officially say?
No.
I don't think they ever officially even said the word Lost Ark. They just said a Smilegate game. and
Yeah.
everybody assumes it's Lost Ark, but
The only part, so like if they've made a new class for Korea, they're still adding stuff for Korea, and adding a new class isn't a small thing.
no.
So, like, I don't think that the guys are working on like a better NA version. That's my big concern, right? It's like, so
Yeah.
Amazon comes in, they partner up, and they're like, well, let's make this crazy game that is going to compete with
I mean,
Diablo and POE.
It's monetization, I think. Honestly, I think if they can launch the game in its state, even with these new classes, if they nail monetization, I think the game will be fine. I think it'll be successful. Obviously, there's going to need to be more future content and end game and stuff, but it depends. Like, how are we locked out of end game? Is it still going to be buy tokens to do end game stuff? Is it going to be no monetization's cosmetic only in the NA version? Like, that's the play. If
Yeah.
they could PoE it, if they make it PoE style, no pay to power, oh my god, this game's gonna slay. It's gonna slay. So
For a while, I think that
Yeah.
if it came
it
through with
depends
its
on how much
current end
content they
game,
can
right?
pump it out too, right?
Yeah. There's so much about this game that does not work for NA.
Yeah.
The ships and
The combat is so good. I just
time
want
gating.
people to play the combat so that
Yeah.
way, if everybody gets to play the combat, then you can say, "Look, dude, this is what
Right.
people can do. This is what this is what we should expect in PoE 2 and Diablo 4.
Yes.
This is the combat we want."
I agree with that too. And like, I hope that a game comes out. I hope it does well. I obviously would hope for things to be changed, but at the very least, if it comes to NA, people will finally get to see what we've been talking about, and maybe Blizzard finally sees what we've been talking about, and there's still time in D4 to make it better, make it more
Yeah,
like
I think
this.
it's too late for D4, but I hope, man. I hope some game comes out there and goes, you know what? Like, we're gonna do this right because this combat's fantastic, dude.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic, man.
So that's what's going on with Lost Ark. This weekend, Ziz's PoE League starts.
Okay.
The Wow, the name is totally escaping me right now. Gauntlet.
Gauntlet. Yeah, this is Gauntlet.
So it's like it's a hardcore boss killing with additional mods to make it more difficult. So it's always pretty exciting in the PoE realm. People in PoE directory love the races, man. It's crazy to me how much people just love that fresh restart in PoE. And even they did like 10 leagues within one league, people would be like pogging out every single time. People just love that race. It's cool.
Level 1 in PoE sucks. Just throwing that out there. So
yeah. I've kind of been at the point where I'm struggling to I got all the achievements.
Everything for the season, for the league?
The 36 to get the hideout. I think it's like 40 overall or something like that. I'm not going for the last. The last ones are always like ridiculous, like farm 500 labs or something. Like, no, I'm not doing that. Killed the feared.
Congrats, man.
Everything's deathless, insane.
Nice.
So yeah, I still have the drive to like want to play because it's such a good league, but it's not ritual that makes it good. It's the Maven that makes it good and the skill trees and stuff like that. And that's coming back 100%. So I don't like burn myself out, but like I also don't really know what else to play. And you know, kind of a segue. Like we did try a couple things this week.
I saw you on some Warframe.
Yeah, I tried Warframe because you know you and I.
Have you never played it before?
No, I've never played it before.
Never. Okay.
And you and I had so many conversations at BlizzCon 2018, and Warframe would get brought up like a lot. And so I was always like, "What?" You know, like I just had blank stares on my face because I'd never played before. And I guess you know Warframe is more of it's like a success story. Like it came from nothing and ended up making a ton of money. And so like there's a lot of design consideration around that more than it is, I guess, about how the game is in its current form. I don't know. But I didn't like it. I felt that they give you way too much mobility. I love mobility. Like I am Mr. Mobility. And they just give you at level nothing the ability to like fly around. It's not even like a skill that you have to master or anything like that. It's just like you get it. Yeah. Go.
You're just like doing this little dash thing and you're just constantly zooming everywhere. I'm with you on that. I felt like so as a new player going in, obviously you're super lost, like PoE style. I think the game is like crazy deep and it's got all these mech suits and all these currencies and all these planets and things. And so blocking all that out's pretty easy though. You're just like, okay, I'm just going to follow what missions they tell me to do. But in my experience with Warframe is from a couple years ago. It's like probably from 2018 is when I tried it out. And I just felt like combat felt off. And maybe they've polished it since then. But did they like you had like this slice ability and your guy's arm was just kind of doing like this. It wasn't like clean looking. It didn't look awesome. It didn't look cool. It didn't feel rewarding when you swung your weapon. Shooting guns didn't feel rewarding or good either. It just felt like you know, it didn't have that Destiny or that Apex or even the Division feel to it. It was just like I shot bullets and the thing died, you know.
Like I'm gonna shoot bullets until I can get close range, and then I'm just gonna like spam my melee. And because it's way better than shooting things. I honestly like jumping into the gameplay. It was so incredibly easy that it really, really turned me off. And I played like all night Friday. I get that, you know, someone came in chat and was like, "Oh, it takes like 10 to 15 hours to really like get into the game." But it's like, I'm just not willing to. The game didn't capture me.
I agree with that though. Like I've seen, like I really was interested in Warframe, and they were doing, they had a big expansion come out in like 2018, 2019, somewhere in that time frame, and they were like proactive streamers. Like they were being their community managers were really like reaching out to streamers, and it wasn't just like big, you know, thousands and thousands of viewer streamers. They were really hitting the medium to small market, and I thought that was really cool. And I was like, dude, these guys know, like these guys are in touch. It seems cool, and so I really looked into it. And I actually talked to them, and they were like, "Are you interested in playing?" And they sponsored me to play the game and stuff. And I was like, cool. And I checked it out, but ultimately, I just didn't fall in love with the game off the bat. And but I watched people that were experienced. You know, I checked out the end game and saw what it was like, and it looked cool. I could see the desire to get into it. It's kind of had that PoE feel where it's like, if you can get over the hump, the game's crazy good, but it's just getting over that hump and the desire to get over that hump.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I wasn't like intimidated by like any of the systems I saw. I don't get that overwhelmed feeling. It's just like, okay, well, what do we need to learn?
Yeah.
But to me, it's just like how the game felt. It was just like, no. Like I'm sure like 5-6 years ago, yeah, maybe, I guess. But now it's just like, no.
Well, I don't know. Like Destiny was still out back then, and even Division. Like Division's a cover-based shooters, but even shooting guns in that game felt more rewarding than Warframe. Warframe's actual like the core mechanics of the game are killing things. Like you're killing aliens, and shooting the guns and meleeing with swords and weapons didn't feel good. And that's the part. It's like, okay, so I'm getting better suits, I'm getting better skills, but I don't really think that this feels that good, which is the core thing I'm grinding for. So like I'm not in that. That lost it for me. That was my disconnect.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate, man, because I do think that the game has got like it's a really cool free to play system. You know, I think that they did a really good job of like POE monetizing cosmetics and to an extent, I guess, power because you could buy the suits, which are different play styles, but you can also earn them in game. You don't have to buy them. So
yeah.
What else did you try? Anything else?
Yeah, I tried. So we had that question last week. Is like, have you guys tried Curse of the Dead Gods? And so I looked into that. And
oh yeah, the guy they asked you on the podcast. Yeah.
And so I looked at that after the podcast is over, and it is like it's a Hades roguelike system.
Okay.
I think I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more. Like it's still good. It was $17, and if you like Hades, I think you'll like this a lot. But if I hadn't played Hades first, I think I would have been a bit more enjoying of it, I guess.
Yeah, Hades is a better version of it.
Yeah, Hades. I went into it expecting to really not like it, and Chad's like, "You have to." I
almost bought it. It was on sale this weekend for $20. I almost did.
I mean, you should really. And it was fun. I ended up being like really surprised because I'm not usually a guy that likes a ton of different video games, and I really, really enjoyed it. And so, and I think it's a bit more robust and cleaner than the Curse of the Dead Gods is. Curse of the Dead Gods is still, I think, a good game, especially if you like that style of game. I would recommend it if you like that style of game. But yeah, I mean, if you got like $20 in your pocket, you should donate to the new meta. But after that, you should
definitely
probably buy Hades over Curse of the Dead Gods.
You want to get those Patreon pre-shows, man.
Yeah.
I tried some. I played. So I got a PS5 on launch day. And I got Spider-Man Miles Morales on launch day, and I had never played it. I sat on it. I waited, and for some reason, I'm like, you know what, man? I'm tired of sitting on this game. I'm gonna fire it up, and I threw it down. It was good, man. It was absolutely if you played the first one on PS4, it was that plus more polish. It was a great game. The problem is the game was super, super short. I beat it in 7.5 hours.
What?
7.5 hours from start to finish. You just zoomed through it. I was like, but you could tell it was going to be over. It wasn't like this, oh, it's over. It was like, you knew, like, and I had read
7.5 hours.
7.5 hours, man. Yeah. And then there's still stuff to do. Like I could go grind all the side missions or like, but the actual story was 7.5. And so that is very disappointing to me. However, the game is so good. Like gameplay was good. It was polished up. The story was good. Miles Morales as a character, I think, is better than Peter Parker. Like they killed it. They killed it in every way. The problem is this was more like an expansion for the first game, like than a standalone title. And so that feels kind of bad. But it was phenomenal, man. I loved it, dude. It was a fun time. And then in non-video gaming, I watched Coming to America too.
Okay.
Because this is like Coming to America came out when I was a kid, and my mom let me watch it somehow, some way. And if I remember, I thought this movie had cursing. The first one had cursing in it. Maybe I'm mistaking that for like one of his Eddie Murphy's other movies, but he was pretty vulgar in his original.
Oh yeah,
debut,
stand-ups.
Yeah, like his stand-ups and even like Beverly Hills Cop and Golden Child and like all his early movies. Like Eddie Murphy was dirty. Like he said the F word. And back in the early 80s, like as a kid, hearing somebody say that, it was like, oh, like looking at your parents, can I watch this? You know? And so I remember watching Coming to America, and maybe I haven't seen it in a long time. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I thought it was pretty meh. at best. I was like, they really just played on the title, man. They were like, hey, we're gonna make a sequel because we know it's gonna make a lot of money. The script was not great. The acting was not great. She didn't feature. I don't know, man. It was just a waste of time almost. I felt like I watched it and was like, damn, if I would have paid money to go to the theater, I would have been like, I threw money away.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I get it.
That's my opinion on it as somebody who watched the first one as a kid and liked it. But that's about it.
Cool.
That's about all. I watched a new HBO show too. Forgot the name. It's called it's about people in Antarctica, and there's only been one episode so far. They left the station. The station's gonna be in total darkness for like 6 months.
Wow.
And I don't want to ruin. It's called the what's the name of it? I don't know. It was interesting though, man.
Okay.
I'll look it up real quick. I'll Google it because we had to Google something every TV or every podcast. Got it. So I'll just look it up real quick. What else you got on there? Is that it?
That's it. I mean, Fluff hates, I guess you could say the games that I played, and PChild loves is the games you played. So
it's called The Head.
The Head. Weird.
The Head. Yeah, it was good, man. I liked it. So you should check it out. You'll hate it because we have opposite tastes.
True.
And everything.
Yep.
Let's get into some Twitter questions.
Let's do it.
The first question comes from Gutless Vermin. He says, how would you feel if group play over X hours disqualified the emanate list? So if you're a group player, the follower revamp doesn't apply.
Doesn't it already do that? What do you mean? Like if you've played a certain amount of hours in group, you don't get the follower stuff?
Yeah, just like deactivates for your solo stuff.
No. Because then why would you?
That either.
That
you're just
feel good for that player.
For
yeah.
Play.
So. You don't want to like penalize people for playing groups. We just want to bridge the gap between group and solo play.
I agree. I don't mind. Like I'm a group player.
Yeah.
I don't farm metas and stuff all day, but like I'll do an hour of rats most of my streams. Like I can tolerate an hour, but I don't want to punish people for hanging out with buddies. To me, Diablo 3 has turned into a social game. I think it's best played hanging out with the homies and just grinding loot while you just talk about random stuff, So, the official Pepe, aka Meme Lord, says, would you want to chase items in D3 like Headhunter in PoE? I'm sorry, D4. Like PoE, where only a small portion of players get it and give significant power. So do you want those chases in D4?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple parts to this question. One is, like, of course, if there's no, like, leaderboard, I guess, I don't know. That's the kind of, like, you want an even playing field for something like a leaderboard to me, a little bit. Something like a Headhunter, which is incredibly rare, and even, like, me playing, gosh, I think on my main character, I have, like, 8 days played already on this league. And that's just one character.
Yeah.
So, and I don't have a Headhunter, obviously. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird, right? If you want to be able, I just can't compete against the guys that have a Headhunter, and it's just complete and total RNG. They got it, I didn't. Yep. So yeah, there is that, but at the same time, yeah, those chase items feel really good. Like you remember that, right? Like I remember Blight League, I got a Spore Guard. I've never gotten it since, and I would love to get it again, but I'll forever remember getting it because it's so rare. So yeah, I don't know. It's about creating those memories versus like, are we gonna have leaderboards? I don't know. You can't have balance if you have crazy chase items. And then if there's a third part to that question, like Headhunter is such a goofy, unique. I would really hate for anything like that to be in Diablo 4. But that's a different question, maybe.
I agree with pretty much all of that. It's impossible to balance leaderboards. If you make items so overpowered, you have to have them to get on the leaderboard. So therefore, if you don't get the item, you just don't get to compete, So I don't know, man. Either that or you got to balance out drop rates in SSF versus trade. Which that's a whole another can of worms to open up. Do you increase items like that in SSF to where people have a shot at them, or that's kind of makes them so cool though. So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
to PoE's credit, like a player like me could get a headhunter in Trade League. Like I could
yeah,
grind the
you could farm the
currency and
current. Yeah,
do
for
the
sure,
trades and get
100%.
it. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like even as a new player, I don't really know what I'm doing. I could still farm currency and buy what I want. Like I don't think that's an impossible gateway because I think there's enough knowledge on YouTube and on Reddit and on other places to where even if you suck at it, you can still farm the currency you want to buy the
We get
things
it.
you
Yeah.
want, you know? So, um,
I would just take for that too. That's a whole nother discussion of like, okay, if it's this crazy best in slot for every build item, one, do we want stuff like that? Where it's just like that thing is the best for everyone. Like it is like the belt slot is, Headhunter is the best in slot for belt, period. Doesn't matter what you are, who you are. Would we even want stuff like that in D4? I don't know.
yeah, right. That's a whole podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and of pros and cons for both
Right.
systems, because and it's like as insignificant as it is, you remember the drops. Like
Yeah.
you remember like getting the drops for things versus like I've had so many amazing PvP moments in lots of games, like World of Warcraft, for example. That's like all I did for my early career. When Arena came out in BC and Wrath of the Lich King, man, I went nuts on that. And like I hit brackets and got titles and stuff, and then it's like, I remember that now. What do I remember now looking back at those moments? I remember killing Ragnaros for the very first time because that was a cool thing. I remember getting Staff of Dominance out of MC because it took me like 11 of them to drop before I got mine because of roll RNGesus. And just like weird thing, like the weird things that stick out aren't what you usually are doing in the game. It's like those moments where it's like super rare and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe this just happened.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So
yeah,
I
and then
think
it's a matter of another argument you could attach to that is like, do we want basically the best item in the game, like a headhunter? Do we want that locked behind just complete and total RNG like it is in PoE, or do we want some crazy end game boss fight that it drops from the only high end players are gonna be able to get? And then should we even make that tradable?
Yeah.
Yep. Whole bucket of worms, right?
Yeah, man. And that's the thing is like they gotta nail it, dude. Part of me is like I think Blizzard kind of has this Apple syndrome going on because like Apple, when they first dropped iPhone, they innovated, and iPods, and they innovated, and even Mac computers and their PCs and some things. They innovated so many things, but then it's like, okay, we used all our good ideas. And then, like Samsung comes along and they're like, okay, we're going to take those good ideas and make them even better. And I kind of feel that was Blizzard. Blizzard was Apple with Diablo. Like they made the ARPG market what it is.
Yeah.
Like they need to invent some new shit, man. We need them to come out with some new features, some new systems in D4 that are just like, damn, yeah, boys, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm so glad you brought this up because I kind of disagree.
Okay.
Shockingly.
Okay.
I think that Blizzard needs to take a look, right? If we see, like Riker had this video about him. He interviewed the D4 devs, and they talked so much about like their D4 experience so far, and like they're so focused on the open world, which is really cool. Don't get me wrong, and the size of the world and the scale, and like that's amazing. I'm excited for that. But at the same time, this is Diablo, right? I think the Blizzard needs to self-reflect and like, what made Diablo 2 one of the greatest games of all time? Itemization, skill tree, character depth. That's what put you on the map. That's what players are still playing to this day. Not open world, not scale of the world, blah, blah, blah. That's cool, don't get me wrong, but like I think we need to focus on the roots of what made Diablo Diablo. It's cool to see you guys expanding new ideas. And I think that, if we look even further, like Halo did this, right? Like they had that need to continuously innovate, and it doesn't hit. It doesn't hit. Their idea doesn't hit.
I agree. You don't innovate everything. I think they need to. So like the new world features, those things are cool. I don't think they need to. That's kind of tried and true, and they'll innovate when they put that in. But they need to think about some ways for this gearing system, because like what we're just talking about for itemization is an example of one of the things. I think they need to. They got to innovate there. I think they need to, because you got so many different systems that's like, well, you could go this route where stuff isn't tradable. You could go this route where everything's tradable. You could go the route where you could play the trade league. You could play SSF, like all these different kind of systems. Like we need something that is kind of new. Like I don't want them to copy an old system from POE, or copy an old system from D2, or copy, God knows, not D3. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but at the same time, I want them to. I do want them. Like I don't know that I want Blizzard to, because everything that we've seen from Blizzard, as far as like new stuff, has been like, like if we look at Diablo 3 as an example, basically everything they thought of like new to add to Diablo was like bad. Like
greater
real
rifts,
money auction house, greater rifts, sure. But that's like one, the only thing, right? Like bounties doesn't really work. Challenge rifts was a total meme. Set dungeons is a total meme.
Greater rifts were the innovation for D3 that made the game playable, though. Like, would we be playing it without? That innovation was so big and so good that other games have stolen it.
Like, but now it's time for Blizzard to steal back, right? We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Let's take everything from PoE. They took the division system, right? Like, let's just not reinvent the wheel. Let's just have a bunch of really fun game mechanics inside of an item-based, depth-based ARPG.
Yeah.
Copy PoE, please.
Copy Lost Ark's combat.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's copy. We're just gonna copy paste. If we should make a list someday. Okay, of like all the core fundamentals of a game, and then what game we're gonna copy them from. Like combat.
And that's what's funny to me, and I think that a lot of people don't realize this. Like, so you and I are like long-term Diablo 3 players, right? Yeah. We're still talking about Diablo 3. We still revisit Diablo 3 seasons. I think one of the things I've noticed a lot of lately, especially, is like, people will be like, well, why is PChild and Lord Fluffy in on a Diablo 2 panel at all? One is we didn't know it was actually going to be a Diablo 2 panel.
Right.
But two, like, I think we are well-rounded ARPG players because we've played all of them. Whereas like we're not, maybe the Mr. Llama of ARPG players where you're just playing that one thing, right? Or you're
and I'm not biased to D3 only. Like I openly am like, this game's got tons of flaws. This is what we need to change to make it a better ARPG. And I think that's value added too.
But I think the number one thing that gets lost is I don't know that anyone that still plays Diablo 3 would want the next iteration of Diablo to be literally anything like Diablo 3. And I think that's the big difference, right? You got Llama wants Diablo 4 to be Diablo 2. You've got a bunch of PoE guys that want D4 to be like PoE. No one from Diablo 3 wants D4 to be like D3.
Yeah.
It's wild.
I hope.
And I think that's what gets lost because people are like, oh, these D3 fanboys.
Things. Like, see, if Diablo 3 didn't make us grind greater rifts for 7 years straight, greater rifts are a great idea. It's such a good ARPG idea that I just don't want to see in Diablo 4 at all because I'm sick of it from Diablo 3. But that being said, it is probably one of the best ARPG ideas ever,
Sure.
But yeah, as far as other things, like I can't think of really anything I want from D4 or from D3 in the next iteration.
Yeah.
I even go as far as character classes. Necro is the only small exception to that.
Yeah, but I think if we even consider like Rift and Greater Rift, right? Like PoE took kind of that and they made it better with the Atlas.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's look back to them and just, I don't think they should copy the Atlas, but look to something like that instead of just like going to an obelisk. And
hey, Fluff, why don't you explain to me the level of the Atlas versus the sockets that you have in versus
Watchstones?
Versus the Watchstones.
Yeah.
Like, let's make the most unintuitive mapping system you can possibly make.
It's not that bad. You just didn't have that drive to want to learn it.
I'm like, listen, no, I think I figured it out towards the end. I started to understand it, but it took me like 20 hours of playing it to understand it. Shit, probably more than that, honestly.
Yeah.
If I still even know it now. Yeah, man, I think I just want Diablo 4 to do some stuff, man. I want them to steal the best parts from a lot of games, and I want them to figure out a way for itemization to not suck. I'm scared about itemization.
Totally.
And like everything that they've shown is going in the right direction, but it always has this little star by it that's like, see the notes, like see the, what do they call it when you put like a source at the bottom, like you have like a 1 on it and you check at the bottom. I went brain dead. What's that called? Like a cliff note or whatever. Like you're reading a paragraph and it's got like a number 1 at the bottom, and it'll explain it. But there's a cliff note. Yeah, notation. There's a notation for every item, right? It's like, oh, we're stealing Diablo's Division's Dark Zone, and I'm like, yes, that's good. Dark Zone is amazing. Yeah, but we're not going to drop any loot that you can steal from people there. I'm like, wait, that's the whole reason the Dark Zone's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're stealing it and removing the best feature from it. Okay,
right.
All right, cool. I got it. And it's like everything kind of has this, like, this is what we're doing, and you're like, oh, that sounds good, and then it's like, oh, but it's not. Like, why this little change? Why did you change this little thing? So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at Diablo 4 as a whole, like if we look at 2019 BlizzCon and when they talked about itemization, and it's like, how did that even happen, right? Because it was basically D3.
Yeah.
And then they, completely flipped and went like the powers route, the angelic, demonic, ancestral. Okay, well, that didn't work. Let's scrap that.
Yeah.
And then
I'm so glad they scrapped that.
Yeah, me too. But it's just like, I don't know that there is a clear direction still of where they want itemization to go, and that's like, that's your foundation, and that's scary. So
that and the skills and the skill tree. The skill tree is like not underwhelming to me too. So those are two really big aspects, but the game's not out. I mean, I'm worried about it, but the game's not out.
Yeah, and that's what I meant to get. Like, so like watching the Riker interview, right? And they're talking so much about the scale of the world and the open world. And it's like, that's really cool, man. I'm really happy you guys are excited about that. I think the passion's clear that you guys are excited about that. But like, this and couch co-op are like, these are nice things. Like, let's focus on what makes Diablo, guys, and get those hammered down.
The scale of the world doesn't make the game good.
Yeah.
Hey, look, it took me 3 hours to ride my pony from point A to point B. Like,
if WoW just had a big world, but like it was still like shit, no one would be playing it.
Yeah, it's like, but what do you do? Like Lost Ark, when I traveled from point A to point B, you know why it was awesome? Because hitting my buttons to kill shit was amazing. Yeah. It like felt so good that it took me 2 hours to go this little distance, because every time I saw a creature, I'm like, I'm gonna go flip kick him in the face and it's gonna be phenomenal. Right. And I would go do it, So there's a lot of ways to make it fun. So I don't know. I do think the big world could be cool. A good thing.
Yeah.
For Diablo 4.
Totally.
It's gonna be static though, so we'll see. We'll see how it plays out, man.
Yeah.
What else? Gosh, I don't even know what questions. That was a total distraction. Larry Murr says Canadian bacon or chorizo?
Chorizo. Easy.
Yeah, chorizo. Canadian bacon's just ham, dude.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm not really a big ham fan, so.
I'm not either, honestly.
Wow. Do we actually agree on food?
We agree. Ham is overrated, for sure.
Yeah.
K-Bear says, both of you alluded to having heard we would get something juicy for the upcoming season, but you guys wouldn't share what you heard. Now that the rework has been revealed, can you share what your predictions for the upcoming season? Additionally, was it influenced by the D2 Resurrected announcement when you thought you were going to be part of a D3 Q&A panel?
I was definitely more excited when I thought it was going to be a D3 panel.
Yep.
I thought that maybe like, okay, if they're opening us up to have a panel, like that means like there might be a future here.
Yeah.
Because they want to expose that interview to the world, right?
Yeah. All of the rumors that I heard were revealed in the thing. So there's nothing extra that we heard that didn't get things. The rumors I heard were pretty on point.
Yeah.
So we just didn't want to out the people.
Sure.
So we couldn't say anything basically. I didn't want to out the source, right? But they were pretty accurate. And I will say that when we were having a D3 Q&A panel, it definitely made me think that there was more big things in the works. Like this was the start and we were going to have more stuff is what I thought. And I was actually pretty excited for that.
Yeah. Same.
However, it makes sense why they did that because they couldn't tell us it was a D2 Resurrected panel. If they would have told us it was a D2 panel, everybody that was invited would have made a YouTube video. Oh, D2 confirmed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so they can't do that. And I get it. I hopefully I added some constructive things to the D2 panel, but that's not a game I played. So I tried to do the best I could for you guys, but I was expecting and prepped and had questions lined up for a D3 panel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yep.
Yeah. So that hits it.
I was so ready for a D3 panel. I was like, okay.
I was expecting like, yeah, man. I didn't know what I was like, dude, if they're doing a panel, we're getting something.
Yeah.
And like I was like, what are we gonna get? Could it be an expansion? There's no way they're gonna give us Druid because they got it in D4, so that doesn't make sense. Like, what are we gonna get? You know? I was thinking maybe an overhaul would be dope. Like a class reset.
Even
like
just
a reset.
A panel, right? You're having a panel. You're exposing the world to like an interview on D3. It's like, okay, that's like we have a new future that's coming, obviously. Yeah. Like, why would they do that when they haven't done it for like 5 years? So I was very excited about the idea of a D3 panel and what that meant.
Yeah. It's a little, it still stings a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was cool. It was cool to be able to sit in and get to hear the passion for the D2 team. I think if anything, the D2 panel really made me appreciate Vicarious Visions.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys.
It was a solid panel all around.
Dude, yeah. Those guys were like phenomenal. Like I already respected some of the work that they had done, but man, they just proved time and time again that like we're good. Like, hey, we're good.
Crazy.
So anything that their stamp goes on, I'm gonna be excited until they release a crappy product. I'm gonna be like, oh, Vicarious is doing that. Dope. I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah.
I'm into it.
So. I still love there were some references made in that QA panel that I don't remember. Like I don't even know that I ever knew, to be honest. Yeah. And like he didn't skip a beat. Like the answer was boom right there. Like I played this game to the highest level. Like. Bring it, like bring your questions. Like it was.
This guy's like, I got 20,000 hours in this game. What's up? They're like, so it was cool, man.
Pretty really stark contrast to the Diablo 4 one.
Yeah, Diablo 4 one. I honestly felt like I felt so limited in what I could ask because I knew everything I was going to ask was going to get answered with, well, I can't really. I don't have anything to share on that right now. And it was like, how can I get some information about stuff without getting shut down? Because if I ask the question, he's like, I can't talk about that. I'm just like, dude, I just wasted my time. I wasted everybody's time. Like I want my question to matter. So
that's why I was like, I was so torn. Like I was so crushed. And I was like, what's your current iteration of trade? I'm not asking you to reiterate what you talked about already. I use dev speak, right? What's your current iteration of trade? And we've still got like the blanket. Dang it. I'm sorry, guys. I wasted a question.
And I'm like, are we going to be able to focus on a singular character, or is it going to be WoW style alt driven?
Yes.
And he was like, yeah. The answer was like, yes. And I'm like, no, like, dude. Joe, I don't know, man. Joe wasn't having it. He's like, listen, you guys are getting out of me.
Like, shut up, nerds. Let me get out of here.
At Katrina. Was it Katrina?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should have directed it at Katrina.
Yeah,
Katarina?
I don't know.
She wanted to talk. I could tell. She was like, she's excited. I should have been like, Katrina.
What have you drawn art for that you haven't shown yet?
Yeah. Like, so the extra class that you got coming up, like, how are the bows for that class? Or like, did they have sight?
CJ murdered. That's what you should have asked. You shouldn't have been like, what's the 5th class? You should have been like, when you were drawing out the classes, what was your
when you were drawing sight for the necromancer? Did your artist take inspiration from D3 or D2 or? And then she would have been like, well, I think we got our inspiration from it. Joe's over there like, what? Like, So Demonic Grizz says, so with the new necro build ducking, Typo sucking maybe. What do you think will be the go-to build for Necro players next season? Also, I wanted to push on Rollins next season. Which follower would you guys recommend?
I think he meant
I don't-
sucking.
Yeah, he meant sucking, but ducking. I mean, the new Necro build does duck really bad. So
Yeah. Don't expect this form to go forward, team.
I think Rothma will still be the set to play on Necro next season. We just don't know what it's going to play like.
Yeah, I could definitely see a scenario where Bone Spear is what everyone plays anyways, because it's not very good or fun. But yeah, I definitely still plan on playing Necro.
I think Rothma will be. It'll change at worst, or best. And for Rollins, like, I haven't played Rollins in a long time. If it's cooldown based, then you want to go Templar, go Enchantress. And if it's not cooldown based, then you could maybe get the Scoundrel in there to get that sick poison buff.
Yeah, honestly, the answer to that is there a sweep attack breakpoint you're trying to hit? If so, Enchantress. If not, Scoundrel.
Yeah.
That's your answer.
I'm a ban you says your spouse or girlfriend calls you in the middle of the day. They ask you to trust them. Don't ask questions. Grab whatever you can. Grab some cash. We're leaving the city. Can't stop to call anyone. Can't ask questions. You just disappear. Do you do it?
Oh shit.
I think this is a different scenario for us too, right?
Yeah, because you have kids.
Because I have kids, and I've been with my wife for a really long time. And not saying that you don't love your girlfriend, but the time difference definitely makes it I'm talking 4 times as long, probably.
Like 5.5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough. Especially, it's hard too because I feel like if the situation was reversed, if I'm calling her, I'm like, yo, pack up, because it's different. Because we think differently.
It's different because you're always right in your mind.
No.
I see your thought process.
No, it's just I'm always right. I'm a more logical, linear person. I think less with emotion, obviously.
Yeah, I'm with you. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So yeah, that's tough, man. That's super tough. I mean, like it's not like you can't be like, no, this is stupid, and then go back once you find out what it is. But yeah, I guess I would.
No. The thing is you can't ask the questions. Like
But once you get to wherever she's like, okay, we skip town. Now never know.
You could never know.
No, that's stupid. Because then if it's not like, okay, a zombie apocalypse didn't come or something like that she had heads up on, or like the U.S. shut down.
I'm putting the stipulation you can never find out why you had to leave. All right, we'll put a stipulation 5 years. 5 years into it, you can ask why you had to leave.
And I don't see anything on the news and stuff like that. I'm going to be pissed.
And she's just like, trust me, you can't know. You can't know. You can't know. Would you do it? I don't think you would.
Well, would you?
I would. Yeah. I trust, but see, my wife and I have we have a super trusting. I trust her, man. If she tells me, and I can tell in her voice that she's dead fucking serious. If she's like, you can't ask questions, we just got to do it, I'd be like, okay, because I know, I trust her. I know that if she's that serious, then I trust her.
I trust Lindsay, but it's just like, do I trust enough that she's making the right decision?
Man, it would suck ass. I would definitely be like, what is going on? I would ask, and if she was just like, just shut up and trust me, I can't tell you. Just you grab some cash, get the kids, we're out. I'll be there in 5 minutes. I'd be like, okay.
I don't know that you could put anyone in those shoes. And I'm like, yeah, honestly, this because I'm, control over my own fate.
Up and I got to find out what it was. It better be some ill shit.
I stubbed my toe. We need to leave St. Louis.
Yeah, I had this dream, and in the dream, our house was going to get hit by an airplane. I'm like, what? I don't know. That's a hard one, man. I think if you couldn't ask why, everybody fails. right? Everybody fails. Everybody's going to be like, why? Like,
Yeah.
I might start grabbing the shit. I might start packing bags and getting the kids ready, but I'm still going to be like, why? Like, what? And when she pulls up, I'm like, what's the deal? Why are we leaving? Like, what's the situation?
Yeah. I think it's a tough question because, like, yeah, I'm playing ball, right? So she calls me, like, drop everything you're doing, get a bunch of cash out, like, meet me blank. I do all of that.
Yeah.
I asked why, of course, and she's like, I can't tell you right now. I'd still do it.
Yeah, me too.
But it's just like you changing the question to like, okay, Kano, 5 years down the road. Well, no, like that's ridiculous.
Logic fucks this up for you. That's the problem. It does me too. I still think at the end of the day, if she was adamant enough about it, where she's like, I can't tell you, but we have to do it. I think I would struggle very hard, but I would probably still do it. I would still be like, okay, like this is fucking stupid, but I'm gonna do it. Like this better be good. Let's go. You know what I mean? Like this better be some crazy shit. You know, I better find out aliens are landing in our house. Like I better come back to like literally alien pods in the house.
Yeah.
You know?
I better see like the next day on the news, they're like, oh, a atomic bomb has been wiped Kansas City off the map.
Yeah. And then you're like, how did you know?
How did you fucking know that?
You finish like this whole thing. Like, how did you know?
Right.
All right, who are you friends with that I don't know about that works for XYZ? Like, then we're having a whole other conversation. But the dude says, what plot twist in a movie absolutely effed you up? What was a good plot twist in a movie?
Recently, Arrival. The most recent. Arrival's like the one where you learn like language is cyclical or whatever, and it has to do that whole mind fuck that was Arrival was like also was it Dos Machina or something like that? Ex Machina.
Ex Machina. Yeah, Ex Machina was good, dude. That was a good movie. Man, what movie? Historically, like and this is probably going to be a lot of people's pick, and which is sad. But historically, what was that Kevin Spacey movie where at the end you find out he was the dude that did all the bad shit? He was the
Usual Suspects.
Yeah, Usual Suspects. Like the first time I saw the Usual Suspects, I was like, oh my god, like what? Like that was the one, you know? So, and then Memento was really good. Did you ever see Memento?
Yeah, it's wild. Like Memento, like what? It doesn't hold the test of time because so many movies have tried to copy Memento's thing, and now it's like, not as good.
I went into Memento like I didn't even realize. I didn't see any commercials. I didn't see anything. I actually saw it on I don't even remember where I saw it, but it was at home. It wasn't like I rented it or maybe it was on cable or something. And I ended up watching this movie and I like wasn't planning to. And I was just like, oh my God, dude, what is this rabbit hole? And then I kind of figured it out, you know, towards the middle, but it was still that Memento was after I saw it, I was like, dude, that movie was sick. That was amazing. Like that was good.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess those are probably my two. And then there was the one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't even remember the name. I just like the ending. There was a movie where there was this demon that was possessing people's bodies or something, and when they died, the demon had like 30 seconds to jump into a new body. And in the beginning of the movie, it says like, "Let me tell you a story about the time I almost died," or something like that. And so you go through this whole movie. And at the end of the movie, like the main character kills himself to kill the demon because nobody else is around for him to jump into. And then it's like, remember when I said almost died? And then he like jumps into this cat and he's walking away in this cat. And you're like, you son of a bitch. Because the bad guy wins, right? Yeah. Chat's probably telling me what it is. Is it Fallen? Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, that movie, I remember seeing that and being like, oh, I forgot he said that in the beginning. He got me, you know? So that's it. That's all the questions we had this week for episode 138.
Easy.
If you guys want to submit questions to the podcast, you can message me on Twitter. Don't forget the Twitter polls are now, or the polls are now on Twitter. So make sure you're following us on Twitter to participate in those, and or Discord. You can drop the questions in the Discord new meta sections. I got a couple tweets this week for people like, yo, is this where I ask podcast questions? And then they didn't ask the question. So yeah, message me on Twitter or drop them in the Discord. That's the right place.
Still think that was the question, and you didn't do him a service by reading out loud.
Question. I'll read your question. The question was, I'm going to go do this just for fluff now.
Yeah.
I don't even know. It's gone.
No.
Okay. It says, Alan, I don't want to drop your last name just in case. Alan says, is this the place where I submit podcast questions? Yes.
Yes,
it is. Twitter.
There, we did it. That was his question.
That was his question. That's it. You guys can find more of me at ThaPChild on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, all the places. You can just search ThaPChild.
Yeah. And I'm Lord_Fluffy. Double those underscores on the Twitter. We'll see you boys next week. Peace out.